Chapter 27-29. The last move was called Invincible Fist Overlord, but in the blink of an eye, it became Invincible Little Fist. How could it be so casual? It was simply humiliating, and looking down on it, it couldn't take it. Burning with rage, the Fire Wand's aura soared to a terrifying level. The golden light from the blood character mark between its eyebrows was even brighter than before. It looked like a golden sun embedded in the center of its brows. Boom! In that instant, the fists of the Fire Wand and the giant golden wolf collided. At that moment, a terrifying and destructive aura burst out from it. For a moment, the Fire Wand and the giant golden wolf were in a stalemate. The two seemed to be evenly matched, but this stalemate was quickly broken. The giant golden wolf seemed to sense the Fire Wand's provocation, and it slammed its head into the Fire Wand's head. The Fire Wand was immediately dizzy. The giant golden wolf took the opportunity to kick it, and the Fire Wand was immediately sent flying with a howl and smashed into the ground. Did you see that? Where did it kick the Fire Wand? The corner of Wang Ming's mouth twitched. Yes. Qin Feiyong and the others nodded, and a row of black lines appeared on their foreheads. Earlier, they could clearly see that the golden wolf had kicked the Fire Wand's egg. It's as shameless as the white-eyed wolf. Madman was speechless. As shameless as what? I think that giant golden wolf is the white-eyed wolf's true form. A Nine Heavens Realm cultivator actually used such a despicable method. It's embarrassing even if it wins. Yang Li despised it. Looking at the Fire Wand again, lying on the broken ground, its two wings were covering a place where blood was flowing, and its eyes were full of pain. Whoosh! The white-eyed wolf ran to the Fire Wand's side and sighed. Are you stupid? I already said that this is the Invincible Little Fist, and since it's the Invincible Little Fist, it must be invincible. Why did you still charge at it? You bastard! The Fire Wand was furious. Not only did it use such a despicable method, it even dared to mock it. How could it be so outrageous? Being invincible is so lonely. The white-eyed wolf shook his head, as if he was invincible and lonely. I can't take it anymore. Beat him up. The giant tiger roared. He was too good at pretending. Boom! The giant tiger and the other two beasts immediately charged towards the white-eyed wolf. The blood character mark between their eyebrows emitted a dazzling blood-red light. Not to mention the three beasts, even Qin Feiyong and the others wanted to rush up and beat this wolf cub up. Will you die if you don't pretend? Sigh. The white-eyed wolf glanced at the three beasts and shook his head helplessly. It's hard to keep a low profile. Pretending my ass. Go to hell. The three beasts roared. Boom. However, with a loud bang, the three beasts were sent flying by the giant golden wolf's claw, smashing into the ground not far away. Look, I'm just so invincible. Even I feel helpless. The white-eyed wolf sighed. That cocky look was really asking for a beating. The Fire Wand, the giant tiger, and the other two beasts got up and stared at the white-eyed wolf as if they wanted to eat him up. It didn't matter if they lost. However, this non-stop posturing really annoyed them. Not convinced? Fine. I'll let you have a taste of my invincible punches. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. As soon as he finished speaking, the giant golden wolf rushed up and gave them a good beating. The four beasts wailed incessantly. Venomous curses rang out incessantly, because not only the Fire Wand, but even the three beasts' little genitals were specially taken care of by the giant golden wolf. Although it's a little shameless, it's really strong, Wang Ming murmured. Yes. Yang Li nodded and turned to look at Qin Feiyong. Young master, what the hell are these things around you? Each one is more perverted than the other. Do you know how to talk? What do you mean by things? You should call us geniuses. Lunatic glared at Yang Li. Yes, geniuses. Yang Li smiled bitterly. Let's not talk about other things. Just talk about strength and talent. The so-called geniuses of China were really nothing compared to this group of people. Do you admit defeat? Yes. Are you still arrogant? Not arrogant. Is your brother powerful? Yes. All right, since you're so sensible, I'll reluctantly accept you as my little brothers. Come. Let me hear you call me Big Brother. Hello? Big brother. Big brother. Awesome. Big brother. Mighty. Not bad, not bad. In a short while, the fire Luan and the four beasts were subdued by the white-eyed wolf. Let's go. The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly and walked toward Qin Feiyong and the others. The four beasts got up and helplessly followed the white-eyed wolf. Not only were they beaten up, but they also became this wolf cub's little brothers. How embarrassing. How could they survive in the forest of gods and demons in the future? Little Qinzi, what do you think? The white-eyed wolf smiled at Qin Feiyong. Tell me honestly, what did you get when you became a god? Qin Feiyong grabbed the white-eyed wolf's tail and said, What are you doing? Are you trying to force a confession out of me? Let me tell you, it's useless. I'd rather die than submit. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and immediately said angrily, You. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. Damn wolf cub, you're so stubborn. However, he was already sure that the white-eyed wolf must have received a great fortune when he became a god. Otherwise, how could he be so strong? As people often said, one could amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Ever since he became a god, the white-eyed wolf had not fought. So later on, Big Black Wolf, the three Black Panther brothers, and even Lunatic thought that the white-eyed wolf was just a decoration. But the truth was that he was truly strong. The white-eyed wolf roared, Let go, or don't blame me for getting angry with you. Qin Feiyong sighed helplessly. It seemed that it was useless to interrogate him, so he let go of the white-eyed wolf's tail. Brother Wolf, since you're so strong, why didn't I see you take action when we were in danger before? Lunatic stepped forward and asked curiously. I keep a low profile. Besides, look at those big shots. Don't they always appear at the end? The white-eyed wolf raised his head and said, Get lost. Lunatic's face darkened. He really did get angry at being called fat. On the side, Wang Ming and Yang Li looked at each other. These guys couldn't be treated like ordinary people. Wang Ming looked at Hualuan, then at Qin Feiyong. It just so happens that we're going to the temple. Why don't we let it lead the way? Sure. Qin Feiyong nodded. What? You're going to the temple? Hualuan looked at Qin Feiyong and the others in astonishment. Is there a problem? Qin Feiyong asked. Haha, do you know how many guardians there are in the temple? Do you know how many guardians are stronger than me? If you go to the temple, you're courting death. Hualuan sneered. Still so arrogant? The white-eyed wolf glared. I'm just stating a fact. Hualuan snorted coldly. Pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyong looked at Hualuan and asked with a smile. Then I want to ask, are those guardians as strong as transformed blood demons? A transformed blood demon. Hualuan murmured and looked proudly at Qin Feiyong. They're about the same. I thought they were stronger than transformed blood demons, but it turns out they're just about the same. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Hualuan said, From your tone, it sounds like you can even defeat transformed blood demons? I haven't truly fought with a transformed blood demon before, but I killed millions of people by myself, and most of them were in the Nine Heavens realm. Can you so-called guardians do that? Qin Feiyong said. Kill millions of people? You must be kidding. How can you, a human, do that? Do you think I'm so easy to fool? Hualuan's eyes were full of disdain. Haha, Qin Feiyong laughed and said, Whether I'm fooling you or not, you'll know soon enough. Lead the way. Okay, if you insist on courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Hualuan sneered. As soon as its voice fell, Qin Feiyong took a step forward and landed on Hualuan's back. What are you doing? Hualuan immediately roared. What do you think? Qin Feiyong asked in return. Looking at Frenzy and the others on the ground, he said, Why aren't you coming up? Okay. The group of people came back to their senses and jumped onto Hualuan's back. Bastard! You actually think I'm a mount? Hualuan was furious. What did you say just now? Are you being arrogant again? White-eyed wolf slapped Hualuan's head with its claw. You. Hualuan was flustered and angry. If you keep talking, I'll pluck your feathers and roast you on the fire. White-eyed wolf said. Okay. You wait and see. Hualuan roared in its heart, rose into the air, and flew into the depths of the forest like lightning. Giant Tiger and the other two beasts looked at each other, looked up at Huolwan's back and shouted, "Master, what should we do?" "Up to you," Huolwan shouted coldly without looking back. "You, of course, take us to the temple." Suddenly, a hoarse laugh sounded behind the three beasts. Giant Tiger and the other two beasts were shocked. They turned around and saw two humans standing not far away. It was the straw-shoe old man and the green-robed old woman. And me. Little demon child also came out from the other side of the forest. Bang! After little demon child appeared, there was a steady and powerful sound of footsteps. The burly man, who was more than 2 meters tall, also came out of the forest expressionlessly. Of course, we can't be left out. The golden-robed man also came out from the other side with the enchanting woman in his arms. The straw-shoe old man glanced at them and frowned. "You're all here?" The enchanting woman smiled charmingly. "This can only mean that we have the same idea." "What idea?" "I don't understand." The straw-shoe old man shook his head. "You old man, you still like to play dumb. Why are you following Qin Feiyang? Isn't it because you think that following Qin Feiyang will give you a chance to obtain the heaven-defying artifact and the inheritance of the power of law?" The enchanting woman said. "Do you need to talk?" The straw-shoe old man stared at the enchanting woman. "What? Are you going to bully me because you're old?" The enchanting woman looked at the straw-shoe old man pitifully. The straw-shoe old man couldn't help but feel a headache. He looked at Giant Tiger and the other two beasts and said, "Take me to the temple immediately." "Who are you? Do you think this is still your human territory? Do you think you can do whatever you want?" "It just so happens that I have nowhere to vent my anger." "Go to hell." Giant Tiger and the other two beasts roared and pounced on the straw-shoe old man's group. Chapter 27:30. However, they ignored the injuries on their bodies. Previously, they had been beaten black and blue by the white-eyed wolf. Perhaps they did not ignore the fact that they were injured because they did not take this group of people seriously. They thought that this group of people was as easy to bully as those people in the past. Humph! Accompanied by a cold snort, the burly man, the green-robed old woman, and the enchanting woman rushed out at lightning speed. Bang! Bang! In just a few rounds, the three beasts were beaten down by the three people. Another group of ruthless people? The three beasts were somewhat stunned. Whoosh! The fire wand flapped its two huge wings and shuttled through the sky above the god-fiend forest like a stream of light. Wherever it went, the beasts avoided it. The white-eyed wolf scanned the mountains below and said, "Let me ask you, is there really an illusion in the god-fiend forest?" "Of course." The fire wand nodded. "Then why didn't we encounter it?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. "I can only say that you guys are lucky. We'll talk about it later. How long have you guys been in the God-Fiend Forest?" The fire wand snorted coldly. "Lucky?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned and chuckled. "Needless to say, it must have something to do with my character." "What does it have to do with your character?" The fire wand was stunned. Qin Feiyang and the rest also looked at the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. "Of course, I have good character, so I'm lucky." The white-eyed wolf smiled narcissistically and looked at Qin Feiyang and the rest. "You guys are basking in my glory? Do you know that? Shameless." The fire wand cursed in its heart. Qin Feiyang and the rest also rolled their eyes. They did not object to narcissism, but could there be a limit to it? How could it take credit for such a thing? The white-eyed wolf did not mind at all. Standing on the fire wand's head, it asked, "Now that we're high up in the sky, will we encounter an illusion?" "Not in the sky." The fire wand shook its head. "Why?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. "Why are you asking so many questions?" The Horl wand was infuriated. Couldn't they just keep quiet? Why did they keep asking? How annoying. Arrogant again? The white-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback. He kicked the fire wand's head and shouted, "Do you want to die?" Horl wand was furious. As a member of the Shrine's Guardians, he was actually bullied by a wolf to this extent. How infuriating. "Quick, answer my question," White-Eyed Wolf said angrily. All right. The fire wand answered. "Because the illusions are set in the forest, There are no illusions in the sky. I see. In other words, the mythical forest restriction on flying is due to these illusions. The white-eyed wolf said, That's right. If everyone can fly, then what's the point of setting up these illusions? Huoluan nodded. All right then, after we go to the divine palace, bring us to the divine devil square. The white-eyed wolf laughed. Since they were flying the entire time, they didn't have to worry about falling into illusions. You have the final say, the Fire Luan said. Since they weren't under the eaves, they had to lower their heads. No matter what the white-eyed wolf said, it would agree first and wait until they reached the divine palace. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and asked, How long will it take to reach the divine palace? Half a year. The Fire Luan said, Half a year? The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and frowned. That's not right. Didn't the giant tiger and the other two beasts only take 2 or 3 days to ask for your help? Because I wasn't at the divine palace. The Fire Luan said, What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. We are the guardians of the divine palace, and each of us is guarding an area. And I, the emperor, am guarding this area. Therefore, the giant tiger and the rest don't need to go to the divine palace to look for me. The Fire Luan said, I see. The white-eyed wolf nodded in realization and asked curiously, Then how many guardians do you have in total? I don't know. Everyone is scattered all over the place and rarely interacts with each other. If anything happens, we will go directly to the 10 strongest guardians. The 10 strongest guardians are stationed at the divine palace and are the most powerful existences in the entire forest of gods and demons. The Fire Luan said with admiration in its eyes, The 10 strongest guardians? They looked at each other. The Fire Luan's strength was obvious to all, but even it was so respectful and worshipful. Then how strong were these 10 strongest guardians? Look, there's a group of people over there. Wang Ming suddenly pointed to a plain below and said, A group of people? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. Looking down, they saw 40 to 50 people walking on the plain in a sorry state. There were men and women, old and young. Everyone looked exhausted and their bodies were covered in wounds. They seemed familiar. Yang Li frowned and suddenly slapped his head. I saw them when we first arrived at the plain. In other words, they were the first batch of people to enter the forest of gods and demons. The white-eyed wolf mocked. It's truly a miracle that they're still alive. I think there were only slightly more than 100 people who entered the forest of gods and demons back then. It's indeed a miracle that there are 40 to 50 people left after more than 100 years. Yang Li nodded. It took them more than 100 years to get here. It's obvious that they must have been hiding in this area and didn't move forward. What kind of miracle can this method of living without purpose be considered? The Fire Luan was disdainful. I don't agree with you. Although living without purpose is a sign of incompetence, as long as you can survive, you're the winner, Yang Li said. However, before he could finish his sentence, the group of people collapsed one after another and died without any warning. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the others were bewildered. Do you even need to ask? They must have fallen into an illusion, and their souls were destroyed on their own. The Fire Luan said. Illusion? Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat, and he said in a deep voice, Let's go down and take a look. Are you sure you want to go down? There might be an illusion on the plain, the Fire Luan said. If there really was an illusion on the plain, would you say that? I'm afraid you can't wait for us to run down immediately. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, You're smart. The Fire Luan snorted coldly and swooped down in front of the corpses. Wang Ming, go and check it out. Qin Feiyang. Yes. Wang Ming jumped over to the group of people and checked carefully before returning to the Fire Luan's back and saying in a deep voice, They did die because their souls were destroyed. The gazes of Qin Feiyang and the others froze. Sure enough, Giant Tiger and the other two beasts hadn't lied to them. This was the outcome of falling into an illusion. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, it would have been hard for them to believe it. Illusion. The group couldn't help but look around. There were no traces of an illusion on the plain or in their surroundings. Furthermore, they had seen these people walking with their own eyes. In other words, indeed, It was as Beast Emperor and Giant Tiger and the other two beasts had said. Even if they were in an illusion, everything that happened and saw was real. There was no way to break an illusion like this, because you didn't know if you were in an illusion or not. When did you fall into an illusion? Let's go, Qin Feiyang shouted. From now on, they would try their best to stay high up in the sky. It was simply too dangerous in the forest. Time flew by. Half a year later, the group had already entered the central region of the forest of gods and demons. The mountains and ancient trees here were even more majestic and magnificent. One after another, giant peaks towered into the sky. Dozens of people probably wouldn't be able to encircle the ancient trees. The vines were as thick as horned dragons. Furthermore, the giant beasts in the mountains were all at the nine heavens' great perfection realm and exuded an extremely powerful aura. Humans? When they saw Qin Feiyang and the others on the fire lawn's back, the giant beasts below were very shocked. However, because of the fire lawn's identity, none of the giant beasts blocked their way or questioned them. Very soon, an incomparably huge mountain entered the vision of Qin Feiyang and the others. The mountain was more than 100,000 feet tall, and its peak towered into the clouds, making it difficult to see its full appearance. However, Qin Feiyang and the others could sense a terrifying, ferocious aura from the peak of the mountain from afar. The Fire Luan said, "The temple is at the peak of the mountain." Qin Feiyang and the others looked at the peak of the mountain. Since the temple was at the peak of the mountain, the ferocious aura they sensed was definitely from the so-called 10 strongest guardians. Qin Feiyang patted the white-eyed wolf and the other two and said telepathically, "Don't be rash. Try not to attack if you can." Understood. Wang Ming and the other two nodded with solemn eyes. That was because the ferocious aura alone was enough to make them feel a fatal threat. However, the lunatic and the white-eyed wolf were eager to give it a try. Swoosh! The Fire Luan did not stop at all and charged directly to the peak of the mountain. The peak of the mountain was shrouded in clouds and mist like an immortal realm. At the peak of the mountain stood a majestic palace. The palace was approximately 1,000 feet tall and was pitch black in color, emitting an ancient and mysterious aura. Apart from that, there was nothing else at the peak of the mountain. However, in front of the palace, there was a square that was approximately 100 meters wide. The square was paved with a layer of black stones that were as flat as a mirror and had signs of severe weathering. Clearly, this had been there for many years. There were 10 ferocious beasts sprawled on the square. The 10 ferocious beasts were not huge and were only half a meter long each. They sprawled on the ground with their eyes closed as though they were taking a nap. Among them, there were 3 wolves, a black wolf, a silver wolf, and a white wolf. The remaining 7 ferocious beasts were a black eagle, a white python, a black bear, a golden mouse, a dragon horse, a ferocious crocodile, and a snow rabbit. "That snow rabbit and little golden mouse are pretty cute," the white-eyed wolf muttered. "Cute?" Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. Hadn't he heard of the saying that the cuter something was, the more dangerous it was? Huo Wan was speechless as well. Did he know how strong the snow rabbit and golden mouse were? How ferocious. When they went berserk, even they were afraid of themselves. The word cute had nothing to do with them. "Greetings, sirs." Huo Wan calmed down and prostrated on the ground, greeting respectfully. Qin Feiyang and the rest jumped down from Huo Wan's back and stood at the edge of the square, looking at the temple curiously. The temple's doors were tightly shut, giving off a mysterious vibe. What kind of treasure was hidden inside? Swoosh! The 10 ferocious beasts opened their eyes slowly and looked at Qin Feiyang and the rest with a cold glint in their eyes. "Don't you know where this is? Why did you bring them here?" Black Bear looked at Huo Wan and shouted. Huo Wan shuddered and said hurriedly, "Forgive me, Lord Black Bear. I didn't want to either. They forced me." Forced? Black Bear was stunned. The other 9 ferocious beasts were surprised as well. Chapter 27:31. This surprised them greatly. Fire Luan was the guardian of the temple and was one of the strongest in the entire forest of gods and demons. But now, it was no match for a few humans and was forced to bring them to the temple. If Fire Luan wasn't lying, Then the four people and one wolf in front of them weren't simple. Lunatic said to himself, "Look, the marks between their eyebrows are different." Qin Feiyong and the others looked over and realized that the marks between the eyebrows of the 10 great ferocious beasts were white. The 10 most powerful guardians. "I think this white blood mark should be even more terrifying," Wang Ming said telepathically. "Don't panic. Let's wait and see." Qin Feiyong said secretly, "I'm not panicking. In fact, I'm looking forward to it." The white-eyed wolf snickered. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but roll his eyes. "What do you mean? Rolling your eyes at us?" The golden rat glanced at Qin Feiyong and frowned. Qin Feiyong was stunned. How could he be implicated like this? That was right. He was looking at the 10 great ferocious beasts when he rolled his eyes, but his target was the white-eyed wolf. However, he didn't expect this to lead to a misunderstanding. "Lords, they are arrogant and conceited. Not only did they injure me, they also spoke rudely to you. Especially this one." Fire Luan glared at the white-eyed wolf and shouted, "This wolf cub even threatened to kill all of you and flatten the temple." "Huh, kill all of us? Flatten the temple?" The 10 great ferocious beasts glared at the white-eyed wolf. Stunned, the white-eyed wolf looked at Fire Luan suspiciously. "When did I say that? Why? You dare to say it, but don't dare to admit it? I knew it. You only dare to be arrogant in front of me." Fire Luan sneered. "Did the white-eyed wolf say that?" Wang Ming was also suspicious. "I don't think so." Yang Li shook his head. They had been with the white-eyed wolf the entire time. If the white-eyed wolf had really said that, there was no way they wouldn't have an impression of it. "How sinister." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "Doesn't matter." The white-eyed wolf waved his paw and looked at the 10 great beasts. He shouted, "Yes, I said that before, but what can you do?" Qin Feiyong looked at the sky, speechless. This damned wolf cub, why was he so disobedient? Didn't I tell you not to be impulsive just now? Why are you challenging me now? Wasn't this deliberately provoking the 10 great ferocious beasts? As expected. Hearing this, the 10 great ferocious beasts' eyes shone even more fiercely than before. Huoluan was also very surprised. She thought that the white-eyed wolf would definitely exonerate her, but she didn't expect him to admit to this groundless accusation. Was he really not afraid of death? "Why are you staring at me? Let's do something practical. Come at me together, or one by one. I'll let you choose." The white-eyed wolf stood on the ground and looked at the 10 ferocious beasts proudly. Boom! The black wolf, silver wolf, and white wolf who were lying on the ground suddenly got up. A monstrous aura erupted and rushed toward the white-eyed wolf like a torrent. "Hey!" The white-eyed wolf grinned. "Everyone, please calm down. This white-eyed wolf is indeed a little annoying, but he really didn't say that he would kill all of you and flatten the temple. The reason why he didn't clarify is because of his character. I hope you can forgive him." Qin Feiyong hurriedly stopped the white-eyed wolf and looked at the 10 great beasts. "He didn't say? Do you think that I dare to lie to the 10 great beasts?" Huoluan smiled coldly and looked at the 10 great beasts. "Great beasts, these people are full of tricks. You must be careful. You can leave now." The black dragon waved its paw. "Yes." Huoluan responded respectfully. Then, she looked at Qin Feiyong and the others sarcastically and soared into the sky. "Wanna leave?" The white-eyed wolf leaped and instantly landed on the back of Huoluan. Her eyes flashed with a fierce light. "What do you want to do?" Huoluan panicked. She didn't expect the white-eyed wolf to be so bold. In front of the 10 great beasts, she dared to make a move. Swish! At the same time, the black wolf, white wolf, and silver wolf's blood mark between their eyebrows emitted a ray of divine light. Following closely, the 3 beasts took a step forward and appeared around the white-eyed wolf. "You still dare to be presumptuous?" The white wolf shouted. "Hee hee." The white-eyed wolf grinned and looked down at Huoluan. "Do you know that there is a saying among humans?" "What saying?" Huoluan asked in a panic. "Trouble comes from the mouth." After the white-eyed wolf said that, a giant golden wolf appeared behind him and slashed down with its paw. Chirp! With a wail, Huoluan's head exploded like a watermelon. "Don't kill me." Accompanied by a scream, Hua Luan's divine soul flew out. Only now do you know fear? The white-eyed wolf sneered, and the giant golden wolf behind him waved its paw again. No. With another scream, Hua Luan's divine soul was annihilated on the spot. You're courting death. The black wolf, white wolf, and silver wolf standing around were furious. Boom. The three beasts rushed toward the white-eyed wolf in unison. Three little wolf cubs dare to be arrogant in front of me? Do you know who is the Wolf King? The white-eyed wolf landed on the ground, and the giant golden wolf behind him roared toward the sky. A great majesty suddenly shrouded the peak of the mountain. The white wolf, silver wolf, and black wolf's eyes trembled slightly. This majestic aura actually gave them a sense of oppression that came from their souls. Sure enough, we can't underestimate it. The seven golden beasts looked at the abnormality of the white wolf and the other two beasts, and their pupils suddenly shrank. Killing the Hua Luan in an instant was enough to prove the strength of this white-eyed wolf. Now, even the white wolf, black wolf, and silver wolf seemed to be afraid. Was it really a wolf king? You guys stop first, Ryoma said to the white wolf and the other two beasts, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Tell me your purpose in coming to the temple. Because it could see that Qin Feiyang was the one who could really make the decision among these people. Qin Feiyang said, We're just curious about what's inside this temple. Curious? Ryoma was stunned. Yes, just curious. So I hope we can get along peacefully. Qin Feiyang showed a very sincere smile. The fierce crocodile on the side suddenly said angrily, If you want to get along peacefully, then why did you kill our companion? It's not our fault. It's only its fault for courting death. Qin Feiyang was helpless. According to human words, this Hua Luan was a sinister villain. Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? Kill! The white-eyed wolf suddenly roared angrily and rushed toward it. The white wolf and the silver wolf looked at each other and also rushed toward the white-eyed wolf with murderous intent. TSK, TSK, TSK. I really admire your courage. The white-eyed wolf looked at the three beasts, its eyes full of contempt. Ow! As its voice fell, the giant golden wolf behind it suddenly stood up and punched at the three beasts. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. The three beasts roared. At the same time, they raised their claws and attacked the giant golden wolf. Boom! In an instant, the giant golden wolf and the three beasts collided. With a loud bang, the three beasts were immediately sent flying. But at the same time, the giant golden wolf was also torn apart. The white-eyed wolf also seemed to be seriously injured, with a trace of blood dripping from the corner of its mouth. White-eyed wolf, are you okay? Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and the others hurriedly asked with concern. I'm fine. The white-eyed wolf shook its head. The three beasts stabilized their bodies, stared at the white-eyed wolf and sneered. You do have some ability, but that's all there is to it. 3 against 1, and you were sent flying. You have the nerve to be proud? The white-eyed wolf pursed its lips. Hearing this, the three beasts were a little angry. Ryoma glanced at the three beasts and shouted, Human, there is nothing in the temple that you want. Please leave immediately. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, You know what we want? All the creatures that enter the divine demon forest are after the heaven-defying artifact and the law of time. But these two things are not here. This is the last warning. Leave immediately, or don't blame us for being rude, Ryoma said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang frowned. Is there no room for negotiation? No. Ryoma shook its head. Now that you mention it, I'm more curious about this temple. Qin Feiyang looked at the temple once more, his eyes shining. Curiosity will kill, Ryoma said gloomily. Qin Feiyang glanced at the dragon horse and lowered his head to ponder. Suddenly, he seemed to have noticed something as he glanced at the mountains behind him with a glint in his eyes. Immediately after, he looked at Ryoma again and smiled. All right, I won't force you. Let's go. What? Go? Wang Ming and the others looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. They came all the way here, and he was going to leave without a conclusion? If they're not willing, why are we still here? If we force our way in, we'll be the unreasonable ones in the end. Qin Feiyang said. All right. Wang Ming nodded. How is it? I'm considered very sincere. Qin Feiyang looked at Ryoma and asked with a smile. You're not bad. Ryoma nodded. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, however, we shouldn't be the only ones entering the forest of gods and demons this time. They won't be as reasonable as us. You don't have to worry about that. Ryoma said indifferently. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to walk towards the cliff. White-eyed wolf, madman, and Wang Ming exchanged glances and could only follow helplessly. When they reached the cliff, Madman said telepathically, Qin Feiyang, what are you doing? Someone seems to be hiding nearby. Let's leave first and check out the situation first. Qin Feiyang thought. Someone? Madman was shocked. I just happened to catch a figure, but I didn't see it clearly. It might just be an illusion. Qin Feiyang thought. Illusion? The corner of Madman's mouth twitched. Why did it sound so unreliable? Whether it's an illusion or not, it's always good to be on guard. Otherwise, others will benefit in the end. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly and was about to jump down. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. If there really was someone nearby, wouldn't he become the mantis? He didn't want to do such a losing deal. Kill them for me. But at this moment, a shout full of killing intent, anger, and resentment suddenly came from the temple. Ryoma and the 10 beasts hurriedly looked towards the temple with reverence in their eyes. Swish. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf heard this voice and their eyes trembled as they turned to look at the temple. This voice. It was Fire Dragon. Chapter 2732. The Fire Dragon was in the temple? The White-Eyed Wolf turned to Qin Feiyang and said, Little Qin Zi, this must be an illusion, right? It must be an illusion. Qin Feiyang nodded. How could the Fire Dragon be in the temple? Didn't you hear my order? Kill them quickly. The voice sounded again. Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf trembled. They didn't hear wrong. This was the Fire Dragon's voice. Boom! The 10 ferocious beasts shook violently and immediately released terrifying auras toward Qin Feiyang and the others. Get lost. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 10 ferocious beasts and directly activated the Rising Dragon spell. His cultivation instantly soared to the great perfection 9th heaven stage. Then, an invisible force rushed toward the 10 ferocious beasts like a tide. Soul destruction technique. Since they were the Fire Dragon's subordinates, there was no need to show mercy. The invisible force roared in all directions. The 10 ferocious beasts immediately felt a fatal threat. Buzz. A divine light emerged from the white blood character mark between their eyebrows and blasted toward the invisible force. Boom. The invisible force immediately collapsed. But Qin Feiyang ignored it and took the opportunity to pass through the 10 ferocious beasts and head straight for the temple. The White-Eyed Wolf followed closely beside Qin Feiyang, its eyes filled with terrifying ferocity. What's going on with them? Wang Ming and Yang Li were suspicious. The madman said, they must have met their old enemy. He also recognized the Fire Dragon's voice. If he didn't know about the feud between Qin Feiyang and the Fire Dragon, he would definitely be as confused as Wang Ming and Yang Li. However, Qin Feiyang had told him about this before. The Fire Dragon had long been on Qin Feiyang's must-kill list. Hold them back. The madman's gaze fell on the 10 beasts as he shouted. All right. Wang Ming nodded. The heaven and earth cage appeared and instantly enveloped the 10 ferocious beasts. You overestimate yourself. The fierce crocodile let out a cold shout, and the blood character mark between his eyebrows shone brightly. Its body, which was half a meter long, suddenly swelled crazily. The draconic horse, golden rat, black wolf, and the others were also rapidly growing in size. In the blink of an eye, 10 giant beasts appeared out of nowhere. Their bodies were thousands of feet long, and they were like mountains, ferocious and imposing. Boom! The ferocious crocodile's body was covered in black scales. It raised its huge tail and slammed it towards the heaven and earth cage. With a loud crack, the heaven and earth cage shattered. Wang Ming spat out a mouthful of blood and stumbled backward. He said in astonishment, so strong. at least several times stronger than the fire yuan. No way. Yang Li's eyes trembled. Back then, even when he and Wang Ming had teamed up, they hadn't been able to defeat the fire yuan. But now, these 10 vicious beasts were actually several times stronger than the fire yuan? This wasn't something they could defeat. Even if they could restrain them, they might not be able to do it. Most importantly, these vicious beasts were about to fly in the air. This was a huge advantage in front of them. What are you afraid of? I'm here. Lunatic harumphed coldly and activated the Blood Fiend domain, enveloping the 10 vicious beasts instantly. Boom. The cultivation of the 10 vicious beasts instantly plummeted to the half-step 9 heavens realm. Kill them. Lunatic roared. Heaven vanquishing sword formation. Dragon annihilating formation. Wang Ming and Black Wolf roared and 2 killing formations appeared instantly, charging towards the 10 vicious beasts. Not simple indeed. The draconic horse looked at the 3 of them and murmured, "So what? Even if we stand here and let them kill us, they won't be able to do it." Black Wolf had a disdainful expression. Boom. The heaven vanquishing sword formation and dragon annihilating formation descended wildly, drowning the 10 vicious beasts. They're not fighting back? Are they dumb? Wang Ming and Black Wolf were stunned. Who's dumb? The 10 vicious beasts walked out of the 2 killing formations one after another. Lunatic and the other 2 widened their eyes in anger. At this moment, there wasn't a single wound on the bodies of the 10 vicious beasts. How was that possible? One had to know. These were 2 Supreme Being level killing techniques. Furthermore, their cultivation was suppressed to the half-step 9 heavens realm by the Blood Fiend domain. Faced with such a situation, even if their bodies were made of iron, it was impossible for them to be unscathed. Yang Li said in a deep voice, "It should have something to do with their blood word imprints." The bodies of the 10 vicious beasts were covered in a layer of white divine light at this moment. It was the divine light that was protecting them, and the divine light came from the blood word imprints on their foreheads. With the protection of the imprints, we are immortal. The 10 vicious beasts roared and charged towards the heaven-vanquishing sword formation and dragon annihilating formation at the same time. The 2 killing formations disintegrated instantly. Even the Blood Fiend domain was shattered on the spot. The 3 of them spat out blood. The strength of the 10 vicious beasts was so strong that it made one despair. "I'm going to swallow you guys alive." The white python smiled malevolently and opened its bloody mouth, revealing its sinister fangs as it pounced towards Lunatic and the other 2. "Swallow me alive? I'm afraid your stomach won't be able to take it." Lunatic waved his hand, and the bloodthirsty demon king appeared with a blood-colored battle sword and a halberd in its hand. It charged towards the white python like a god fiend. "It's useless. Hee. The white python did not dodge at all and swung its huge tail at the halberd. Crack! The halberd shattered. The huge tail crushed towards the bloodthirsty demon king, and the latter was also shattered instantly. Immediately after, the white python's bloody mouth bit towards Lunatic and the other 2. A thick fishy smell assailed their nostrils. "Invincible? All right. Let me see if you're really invincible." Lunatic was furious. Bloodlight appeared, and a huge blood-colored domain enveloped the white python instantly. Blood Fiend 5 styles, Blood Prison. What? The white python instantly stopped in the air, its entire body as if it was frozen and motionless. "Die!" Lunatic shouted. Countless blood lightning bolts appeared in the blood prison and pounced towards the white python like small snakes. Blood prison. Wang Ming and Lunatic looked at each other and were shocked. Although they did not know what was so terrifying about the blood prison, when they recalled how Giant Tiger and the other 2 beasts were enveloped by the blood prison, they immediately fell into fear. Therefore, it was not hard to imagine that the blood prison was definitely extremely powerful. Perhaps Lunatic could kill these ferocious beasts. Boom! Countless blood lightning bolts swarmed over and drowned the white python. Ah! The white python's painful cries came from the blood prison. What's going on? Black Wolf and the other 9 ferocious beasts looked at this scene in shock. Although the white python's entire body was drowned by the blood lightning and they could not see its current situation, its cries, We're clearly not good. How dare you clamor at me? You're courting death. Lunatic was filled with killing intent, and the blood fiend domain appeared once more, enveloping the blood prison. The white python's cultivation fell to the half-step 9 heavens realm once more. Its cries were even more miserable. Hurry and help, Dragon Horse shouted. The 9 ferocious beasts immediately attacked the blood prison and the blood fiend domain. With a loud crack, the blood prison and the blood fiend domain shattered one after another. As soon as the blood prison shattered, the blood lightning also dissipated and the white python was revealed. At this moment, the white python was a bloody mess, especially its head, which was almost torn apart. Even the power of the blood word mark could not help it block the blood lightning and was fatally injured. No way. What kind of divine art is this? It's so strong. Looking at the sorry state of the white python, the 9 ferocious beasts were extremely shocked. If they had been a step later, the white python would definitely have died in the blood prison. Seeing this scene, Lunatic couldn't help but frown. They were just a step away from killing the white python. These ferocious beasts really like to meddle in other people's business. Human, I won't rest until you're dead. The white python roared angrily, and the blood word mark on its forehead blossomed with an even brighter divine light. Immediately, an astonishing scene appeared. The injuries on the white python's body, as well as its head, which was almost torn apart, actually healed in an instant. How is this possible? Wang Ming and Yang Li were dumbfounded. Even Lunatic's eyes widened in disbelief. Wasn't this ability the same as the Blood Demon Clan's ability to absorb the power of the evil moon? How could such an abnormal ability kill these ferocious beasts? Unless it was a one-hit kill that was as easy as crushing dry weeds. Die! The white python roared. The 9 ferocious beasts also attacked. Poof! Facing the bombardment of the 10 great ferocious beasts, Lunatic and the other 2 were sent flying on the spot and crashed into the mountains below. The mountains within a radius of 10,000 li were directly razed to the ground. Rumble! Back to Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. They rushed to the front of the palace and attacked the palace gate with all their might. But the palace gate was as steady as Mount Tai and didn't tremble at all. So strong? The white-eyed wolf was astonished. Qin Feiyang, wolf cub, I didn't expect to meet you here. What fate? The fire dragon's voice came from the temple again, full of hatred. Come out if you have the guts. Don't hide inside like a turtle. The white-eyed wolf shouted. Ha ha, come in if you have the ability. The fire dragon laughed proudly and said, but then again, when hell opened, why didn't this emperor notice you guys? You didn't notice us, but we recognized your voice at that time. I didn't want to believe it at first, but I didn't expect you to really be in hell. Answer me, are hell and the 3rd floor of the miracle the same place? Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Aren't you very smart? You don't know how to guess? The fire dragon joked. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, I promise the fire python that I will kill you. Fire python? The fire dragon was taken aback for a moment and said playfully, sure, as long as you have the ability. But to be honest, this emperor really has to thank you guys. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang frowned. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have the chance to come here. Do you know what's inside this temple? One of them is the time array. All these years, this emperor has been cultivating here, and now I have broken through to the 9th heaven stage. Do you know why this emperor is cultivating so hard? It's because this emperor wants to take revenge on you. Originally, this emperor didn't know how to find you, and didn't know if you were dead or alive, but I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come to me. Even the heavens are helping me. Ha ha! Hualong laughed wildly, forgetting himself. Chapter 27:33. So they already know each other and have a deep grudge against each other. The 10 Longma beasts looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with curiosity. He was actually acquainted with the person inside the temple. Who were these 2 people? Although the fire dragon's cultivation was not as good as theirs, the fire dragon's status in the temple was naturally higher than theirs. They still remembered the scene when the fire dragon first came to the forest of gods and demons. The wind and clouds suddenly changed. The fire dragon descended from the sky and had the right to use the temple. In such a situation, the fire dragon must have a great background. Therefore, they were in awe of the fire dragon all these years. Because in their opinion, the fire dragon should be an envoy sent by a big shot to guard the forest of gods and demons. All these years, the fire dragon had indeed been cultivating in the temple. But they thought that the fire dragon's cultivation was to convince them. After all, the guardians of the forest of gods and demons were very powerful. If he didn't have powerful strength, how could he convince these guardians? But they didn't expect that the fire dragon's cultivation was because of this man and wolf. He wanted to take revenge on them, to have a grudge against someone like the fire dragon. The identity of this man and wolf was definitely not simple. Qin Feiyong, wolf cub, what do you think about this surprise? The fire dragon stopped laughing and asked jokingly, Surprise? For us, this is indeed a surprise, because we can finally fulfill our promise to the fire python. But for you, I'm afraid this is bad news. The white-eyed wolf sneered. Bad news? The fire dragon laughed again. You have indeed become very strong over the years, but we have also become stronger. And stronger than you. We could kill you in the past, and we can still kill you now. Don't hide in there. Come out and die. The white-eyed wolf shouted. You want to fight with me? Then let's defeat the 10 strongest guardians first. You will only be qualified if you defeat them first, the fire dragon said proudly. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and tried to bombard the door of the temple again. However, just like before, he was unable to blast it open. Don't waste your energy. Without my permission, no one can enter the temple. The fire dragon sneered. Answer my question. Is this the 3rd floor of the miracle? I want the truth, Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. This was what he was most concerned about. Don't worry, I'll tell you when I send you to hell. The fire dragon laughed. Qin Feiyong clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. Haha, what a face I haven't seen in a long time. You still look the same when you're angry. The fire dragon laughed wantonly. Who? Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and turned to look at the 10 great beasts. The eyes of the 10 ferocious beasts flashed fiercely. Whoosh! At this moment, Madman and Wang Ming rushed up and landed on the mountain peak. They looked very miserable as they stared at the 10 ferocious beasts with cold eyes. Qin Feiyong looked at the 10 ferocious beasts and said in a deep voice, This is a personal grudge between me and the fire dragon. I'll give you a chance to leave immediately. Chance? Leave. The 10 ferocious beasts frowned. His arrogant tone made it seem like he had already won. I advise you to listen to my advice. Madman also spoke. The white python stared at Madman and smiled sinisterly. How dare you be so arrogant in front of us? It seems that the lesson just now wasn't enough. Murderous intent surged in Qin Feiyong's eyes. Since you're so stubborn, I'll fulfill your wish. You're courting death. The white wolf, black wolf, and silver wolf roared and pounced at Qin Feiyong in unison. You're the ones courting death. The white-eyed wolf took a step forward and stood in front of Qin Feiyong, summoning the giant golden wolf. The golden wolf raised its head and howled. It swung its millstone-sized fist and punched the silver wolf and the other 2 beasts. Do you really think you're a match for us? The 3 beasts roared and the blood mark between their eyebrows shone brightly as they charged at the giant golden wolf. With a loud bang, the giant golden wolf shattered on the spot. The white-eyed wolf spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated continuously. Are you okay? Qin Feiyong was shocked. I'm fine. It's just 3 little wolf cubs. The white-eyed wolf sneered in disdain. He turned around and rushed down the mountain peak into the forest below, shouting, Come down and accept your death. Still so arrogant? See how we'll deal with you. The 3 beasts were furious as they rushed down the mountain peak and charged at the white-eyed wolf. Come with me if you have the guts. Lunatic looked at the white python, crocodile, and Longma with a murderous look in his eyes. He also turned around and rushed down the mountain peak. Because the mountain peak was too small, they couldn't move at all since they couldn't fly. 1 against 3? How big are you? I alone am enough to kill you. The white python roared and rushed down with a murderous look. Longma glanced at the white python and said to the crocodile, "That human can't be underestimated. Go and help him." "Okay." The crocodile nodded and rushed down at lightning speed. In this way, only Qin Feiyang, Wang Ming, and Yang Li were left on the mountain peak. There were still Longma, Golden Rat, Snow Rabbit, Black Bear, and Black Eagle on the Temple Guardian's side. "Young Master, our abilities are limited. We only need one of us to help you pin down one of them." Wang Ming glanced at the 5 beasts and said helplessly. Yang Li also looked aggrieved. "It's okay." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. He understood how they felt. If there were no rules, he could kill the 10 ferocious beasts in front of him easily. After all, they were all undead stage powerhouses. But now, in the face of these ant-like ferocious beasts, they could only be beaten up. This feeling of grievance was enough to drive anyone crazy and collapse. Wang Ming pointed at Black Eagle and shouted, "You, come with me. You, come with me too." Yang Li also pointed at Snow Rabbit. With that, the two of them rushed down the mountain peak. Hee. Golden Rat and Snow Rabbit looked at each other and immediately fell towards Wang Ming and Yang Li. At this moment, only Qin Feiyang, Longma, Black Bear, and Black Eagle were left on the mountain peak. Boom. Crack. At this moment, the battle between White-Eyed Wolf and Black Wolf, Lunatic, Fierce Crocodile, and White Python had already begun. The battle between Wang Ming and Yang Li, Golden Rat, and Snow Rabbit also began. Blood Demon Domain, Sky Vanquishing Sword Array, Dragon Slaying Array. Facing the strongest guardians, no one dared to let their guard down. They used a supreme level killing technique as soon as they attacked. Qin Feiyang scanned the 4 battlefields. For now, the White-Eyed Wolf, Madman, and the other 2 were all fine. Looking away, Qin Feiyang looked at Longma and said, "Let's begin too. Tell us the truth. This emperor truly admires your bravery." Back then, when Big Shui of the Blood Demon race came to the Forest of Gods and Devils, he took a detour. You know Big Shui's identity? He is the commander of the Blood Demon race, second only to King Yu. Even he doesn't dare to fight with us, and you dare to challenge us directly? You humans are really ignorant creatures. Longma laughed disdainfully, and the blood character mark between their eyebrows instantly glowed with divine light. Immediately after, the 3 beasts pounced toward Qin Feiyang with monstrous ferocity. "Big Shui, of course I know him. But just because Big Shui is afraid of you doesn't mean I'm afraid of you too." Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. The Return to Ruins, Eclipse Moon, and Guiyuan Sword technique instantly appeared. After activating the Rising Dragon technique, his cultivation was already at the great perfection 9th Heaven Realm. He was invincible under the Imperishable Realm. The 3 supreme divine techniques shattered the sky and blasted toward the 3 beasts. Even so, Longma didn't activate their divine techniques or use their divine artifacts. They used their physical bodies to face the 3 supreme divine techniques. Their eyes were full of contempt. It was as if in their eyes, Qin Feiyang wasn't even qualified to make them use their divine techniques and divine artifacts. "You'll pay the price for being arrogant in front of me, Qin Feiyang." Qin Feiyang roared. The 3 divine techniques blasted onto the 3 beasts. Boom. But even so, the 3 beasts didn't retreat half a step. The blood character mark between their eyebrows emitted divine light that covered their entire body. It appeared as if he was wearing a white armor. The 3 divine arts landed on their bodies, but they did not break through the divine light barrier, nor did they cause any damage to them. Ha! The power of the mark is invincible. An ant like you will never be able to understand. He Xiong laughed. He was hundreds of feet tall and swooped down from the sky, punching toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened slightly. He used the Heavenly Dragon's 9 steps and dodged like lightning. Boom. He Xiong's punch directly hit the square. However, the square didn't have the slightest trace of damage. The temple next to it also didn't shake in the slightest. Even the entire giant peak didn't tremble. Obviously, this temple, this giant peak, had been tempered by a peerless expert with divine power. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so hard. After all, Even Qin Feiyang didn't dare to take He Xiong's punch head-on. One could imagine how powerful it was. Can you dodge it? Just as Qin Feiyang dodged, He Xiong spread his wings and swept over the top of Qin Feiyang's head. Two giant claws emitted a bone-piercing sharpness, grabbing toward Qin Feiyang's head, and Longma also swooped down and attacked Qin Feiyang from the side. He Xiong's punch missed, and he swung his giant fist again, attacking Qin Feiyang from the front. This was an unavoidable situation. Qin Feiyang glanced at the three beasts and his face was a bit gloomy. These beasts weren't terrifying. What was truly terrifying was the power of the mark. The power of the mark not only increased the strength of the three beasts, but also made their bodies almost immortal. The End Ruins art, Divine Dragon art, Sun and Moon Eclipse, these Paragon Divine arts couldn't pose a threat to them anymore, because the power of the mark had already exceeded this limit. In other words, to defeat them, only a heaven-defying divine art, a heaven-defying divine weapon, or an indestructible realm cultivation could do it. But there were rules in hell, and these weren't allowed. If it were anyone else, even Yi Zhong and the ancestral dragons, they could only run for their lives. No wonder the Beast Emperor didn't want to enter the divine demon forest. This was the fear of the giant beasts. However, Qin Feiyang wasn't an ordinary person. If they looked at him with ordinary eyes, it would be fatal. Chapter 2734. Guiyuan Sword Technique, 9-1. 90 sword shadows appeared out of nowhere and instantly condensed into a sword shadow that was 10,000 feet long. 9-1 was now Qin Feiyang's trump card, and its power had reached the peak of the supreme level. Clang! The sword shadow slashed at the three beasts. But in the end, it was easily blocked by the divine light shield on the three beasts. Qin Feiyang was stunned. The power of this mark was so strong that it was incomprehensible. One had to know. There were rules and restrictions in the Nether King Hell. The power of the mark could not reach the level of a divine object in the eternal realm. In other words, no matter how strong the mark was, it was only below the eternal realm and the divine object. Since it did not break this limit, why couldn't it break the divine light shield on their bodies? Boom! At the same time, the three beasts attacked. At the critical moment, Qin Feiyang indeed activated the Wisdom King's golden body. The next moment, the three beasts hit him. Even with the Wisdom King golden body, he flew out on the spot and spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a very inconceivable thing. The Wisdom King golden body could block a fatal blow of a higher realm. And now facing the three beasts, the Nether King Hell did save his life, but it also severely injured Qin Feiyang. In other words, even the Wisdom King golden body could not completely dissolve the power of the three beasts. Was the power of this mark so terrifying? They were clearly just three ordinary ferocious beasts, but they possessed heaven-defying battle prowess. Boom! With a loud bang, Qin Feiyang smashed into the mountain below. He was dizzy and his blood was surging. He had the Wisdom King golden body, but he was still seriously injured. This was hard for him to accept. I thought you were strong, but it turns out that you are just OSO. The three beasts rushed down from the top of the mountain aggressively, and the contempt on their faces was even stronger. Qin Feiyang glanced at the three beasts, took out a divine life pill, and threw it into his mouth. The majestic vitality suddenly exploded in his body and rushed to his limbs and bones. With the healing ability of the bloodline power and the merged fire of life, his injuries were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Immediately after, he looked around the battlefield. The white-eyed wolf, Madman, Wang Ming, and Yang Li didn't seem to be in a good situation. In particular, Wang Ming and Yang Li were already at a clear disadvantage even in a one-on-one fight. And all of this was caused by the power of the mark. The power of the mark could not only make the 10 great ferocious beasts stronger, but it also had amazing healing abilities. It was even more powerful than the blood demon race's evil moon. Looks like I'll have to reevaluate this power. This can no longer be explained by common sense, Qin Feiyang murmured. He retracted his gaze and looked at the three beasts. The three beasts were brimming with murderous intent. Divine light enveloped their entire bodies, making them look like invincible beast gods. Not a single wound could be seen on their bodies. This kind of situation was enough to make people despair. In any case, they had already exchanged a few blows. There was no need to talk too much. It was good to have a little wound. This way, there was still hope. But now, not to mention a wound, not even a strand of hair fell off. If it was a weak person, their mentality would have already collapsed. Despair? You can just admit it openly. No one will laugh at you. Because against us, any living creature will die of despair. The three beasts smiled proudly. Without any fancy moves, they directly used their huge bodies to crash into Qin Feiyang. That terrifying aura, that invisible power, like the Grim Reaper, the Three Reapers, it made one shudder. Despair. In this world, there are indeed people who can make me feel despair. But it's not you, Qin Feiyang murmured. The figures of Ice Dragon and the golden small beast involuntarily appeared in his mind. Every time he faced these two supreme beings, he couldn't help but feel despair. But apart from them, no one else had the ability to make him truly despair. The three great ferocious beasts in front of him were no exception. Swish! Suddenly, one by one, his clones appeared. There were a total of 300. To deal with these three great ferocious beasts, he didn't need to fully activate his 3,000 clones. 9 by 9 to 1, kill? Qin Feiyang shouted. Boom! Clang! The 300 clones immediately activated the Guiyuan sword technique, the sharp edge tearing the sky and splitting the earth. What? Young Master has already activated 3,000 clones? Wang Ming and Wang Lin's eyes trembled. It seemed that even young Master had to use his trump card in the face of these strongest guardians. What the hell? Do you think you can reverse the situation by creating a few hundred clones? Stupid. Ridiculous. The three beasts became more and more disdainful. Without the slightest pause, they crashed straight into Qin Feiyang. Clones? I hope you can keep laughing like this, Qin Feiyang murmured. Kill. The 300 clones roared angrily, and the sword shadows in the sky instantly charged toward the three beasts. 9 by 9 to 1, 300 clones, a total of 300 sword shadows. 100 sword shadows charged toward the dragon and horse. 100 sword shadows charged toward the black eagle. 100 sword shadows charged toward the black bear. The three beasts were as confident as ever in the divine light shield on their bodies. Boom! Clang! But when they collided with the 300 sword shadows, the three beasts' expressions changed abruptly. The power was exactly the same. How could it be? Who didn't know that the strength of the clones would be much weaker than the original body? But why was the power of these 300 sword shadows no different from the sword shadows that Qin Feiyang had created before? Crack! A crack suddenly appeared on the divine light shield on the three beasts. The cracking sound was not loud, but when it fell into the ears of the three beasts, it was like a clap of thunder. The shield formed by the power of the mark was actually broken by these sword shadows? Was this a dream? Crack! The cracking sound kept ringing. The cracks on the shield were increasing in number and size. This scene shocked the three beasts to the extreme. A little human actually had such terrifying combat strength. Keep laughing, Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly. Crack! As his voice fell, the shield on the three beasts was completely shattered. 300 sword shadows suddenly fell on them. Roar! Chirp! Immediately, there was a wail. The bodies of the three beasts were torn apart, and flesh and blood flew everywhere. Without the power of the mark, what are you? Any random person would be able to kill you easily. Qin Feiyang shook his head, turned around, and led the 300 clones to the battlefield of Madman and the others. Do you think you should have one? However, at this moment, a sinister laugh sounded. Qin Feiyang frowned and turned to look at the three beasts. He saw the blood mark between the eyebrows of the three beasts, shooting out a dazzling divine light. That divine light rushed towards the torn bodies of the three beasts. An astonishing scene immediately appeared. The flesh that had been torn apart, even if it was crushed into pieces by the sword shadows, actually quickly pieced together. Then, the bodies of the three beasts quickly healed. In just 3 breaths, the 3 beasts came back to life, and there were no wounds on their bodies. This is too ridiculous, Qin Feiyang murmured. They were almost shattered, but they could still be reborn and healed? How is it? Seeing us not die like this, is it more powerless and desperate? I have to admit that we have indeed underestimated your strength, but you have also greatly underestimated our strength. The real battle has only just begun. The 3 beasts roared, divine power surged out, and a mighty divine aura suddenly shrouded all directions. This was the prelude to activating the divine art. That's right, they didn't dare to be careless. Qin Feiyang's strength had already exceeded their expectations. If they continued to underestimate this human, they would definitely be the ones to fall in the end. Sigh. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Why are you sighing? Longma frowned. What you said is completely wrong. I didn't underestimate your strength, but the power of the mark, Qin Feiyang said. The power of the mark is our power. Is there a difference? Don't be so self-righteous. It will be your end soon. The 3 beasts roared. Roar. Accompanied by an earth-shaking beast roar, a huge beast shadow appeared above the black bear's head. The beast's shadow was 10,000 feet tall, with its feet on the ground and its head in the sky, exuding a monstrous, ferocious aura. Boom. A black sun also appeared above the black eagle's head. A vast and mighty aura surged out in all directions. Roar. Accompanied by a dragon roar, a huge dragon shadow appeared above the dragon horse's head, and a terrifying dragon aura shrouded the world. These were the 3 supreme-level deity arts. Tremble. Despair. The 3 beasts roared. The 3 supreme divine arts immediately shattered the void and the earth and charged toward Qin Feiyang. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed again. Are you crazy? The black eagle said angrily. Sighing. Isn't it annoying? This is the stupidest part of you. If you don't activate the divine art, you can still struggle for a while. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What does this mean? The 3 beasts raised their eyebrows. It means that the moment you activate the divine art, your fate has already been decided. The outcome has already been decided. Eye of Heaven, open. As Qin Feiyang's words fell, the 300 clones behind him began to activate the dragon soul. Copy. In an instant, the divine arts of the 3 beasts were copied, and 300 times more. The 3 beasts looked at this scene in shock. Eye of Heaven? Could this be one of the 10 heaven-defying divine souls in the teleportation? What is the origin of this human being? He actually has such a heaven-defying battle soul. Destroy in despair. Qin Feiyang said. The divine arts that filled the sky suddenly blasted out. Facing more than 300 times the number, the divine arts of the 3 beasts were shattered on the spot without any suspense. Puff. The 3 beasts spat out blood. Looking at the densely packed divine arts, their eyes were full of horror. Between their eyebrows, the blood word imprint bloomed with dazzling light, and a divine light shield enveloped their entire body. At this moment, they truly experienced despair. Their hearts were trembling, and their souls were in fear. The aura of death descended, but the divine light shield did not help, because no matter how powerful something is, there is a limit. Once this limit is broken, it will be unstoppable. Chapter 27:35. Crack. As the godly art filled the sky, the divine light shield on the 3 beasts shattered again. Then, the 3 beasts were drowned by the godly art, and their bodies instantly turned into a bloody mist, leaving only 3 desperate screams that echoed in the air for a long time. Haha, young master is indeed powerful. Wang Ming and Yang Ming laughed. The death of the 3 beasts was undoubtedly a reassuring pill for them, and it also stimulated their fighting spirit. Even if they were at a disadvantage, they became braver as they fought. But their opponents, the white python and the other beasts, were horrified. They were well aware of the strength of the 3 beasts. Relying on the power of the mark, even the transformed blood demon could easily crush them. But at this moment, they had died in the hands of this human, and it was a one-sided battle. What a joke. How could a human have the strength to shake the power of the mark? You too, dregs. It's time to let you experience my true strength. Madman roared. Blood light emerged, and the blood prison instantly enveloped the white python and the fierce crocodile. You think this blood prison is still useful to us? The white python and the fierce crocodile's expressions changed. Is that so? The corners of Madman's mouth lifted, and countless blood lightning emerged from the blood prison, drowning the white python and the fierce crocodile. It's useless. The two beasts roared out of the blood lightning, and their terrifying aura made the entire blood prison tremble as if it was about to shatter. Blood prison, explode for me, Madman shouted, and his divine power poured into the blood prison. Explode? The two beasts were bewildered. What the hell was this? Boom. All of a sudden, an earth-shaking loud sound rang out, and the entire blood prison suddenly exploded. A destructive aura suddenly emerged. The divine light shield on the two beasts shattered. Then, his physical body was also reduced to ashes under the destructive aura. Seeing this scene, Wang Ming, Yang Li, Qin Feiyang, and Madman couldn't help but be shocked. The power of this blood prison explosion was even more terrifying than the self-destruction of a great perfection ninth heaven's realm. They really didn't expect Madman to create such a terrifying godly art. Poof. However, after the fierce crocodile and the white python died, Madman also spat out a mouthful of blood and fell down powerlessly. What's the situation? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He quickly executed the heavenly dragon's 9 steps and rushed to Madman's side, extending his hand to support Madman. The Madman coughed up blood as he shook his head and bitterly smiled. The aftereffects of the blood prison explosion are still so fierce. Sequelae? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. Blood prison's self-destruction requires the support of all divine power. In other words, the self-destruction of the blood prison will consume all of my divine power, and I will also suffer a certain amount of backlash. In short, I won't be able to fight for a while, Madman said as he took out a few god power pills and stuffed them into his mouth. I see. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and asked, then, what kind of lethality does this blood prison of yours have besides the explosion? Divine Soul. The blood prison itself has the effect of immobilization. I believe you should be able to see this. Blood lightning, on the other hand, targets the divine soul. It is extremely destructive to the divine soul. It should be a bit stronger than your soul destruction technique, the Madman said humbly, but his face was full of pride. So it's like this. Qin Feiyang nodded in understanding. Although the Madman was showing off, it was undeniable that the blood lightning's lethality to the divine soul was stronger than the soul destruction technique. This was because the soul destruction technique couldn't pose any threat to the giant beasts in the forest of gods. But the blood lightning could make the giant beasts feel fear. Didn't this mean that the blood lightning's power was actually stronger than the soul destruction technique? Wait, Qin Feiyang suddenly stretched out his hand and asked, what do you mean by immobilization? The Madman said, in layman terms, it immobilizes a person in the void. You can do that? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Immobilization and confinement, these two words were two completely different concepts. Immobilization, as the Madman said, immobilized a person and no matter how they struggled, they couldn't break free. Imprisonment, on the other hand, used pressure. If one didn't have an overwhelming advantage in cultivation, they wouldn't be able to immobilize others at all. Just like Qin Feiyang and the Madman. Both of them were at the 9th heaven stage, so their pressure couldn't immobilize the other. So, although they both had the ability to immobilize others, the difference was like heaven and earth. Immobilization, soul destruction, and explosion, as expected of senior brother Madman. Qin Feiyang's face was full of admiration. Just this move alone was enough to dominate under the imperishable stage. Haha, the Madman laughed, his face full of pride. Don't be so proud. Although the power of the explosion is very strong, the aftereffects are too great. You have to improve it. Qin Feiyang said, you think I haven't thought about it? I've been improving over the years. Although I haven't made any breakthroughs, I've improved a lot. I remember the first time I exploded the blood prison. I became a cripple on the spot and had to lie in bed for 3 days to recover. The after effects are still good. At least I didn't become a cripple. The madman said. Well, I'm worried for nothing. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Little Qin Zi and Little Madman have both dealt with their opponents. I can't fall behind. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf's voice came into the ears of Qin Feiyong and Madman. The two turned around to look. They saw the white-eyed wolf standing on the broken ground, looking a little embarrassed. The black wolf and the other two beasts were suspended in the air, but if one looked carefully, they would find that there was a trace of panic in their eyes. Dragon horse, black eagle, black bear, white python, and fierce crocodile were killed one after another. This was enough to show that this group of people were not to be trifled with. At the very least, their strength was above them. What do you think this white-eyed wolf is hiding? The madman whispered. Who knows? Since it became a god, it hasn't really made a move. Now I can't see through it at all. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Then it seems that I have to find it to spar. The madman muttered. The white-eyed wolf stared at the panicked black wolf and the other two beasts and said, Let me tell you, I'm in high spirits. Don't run away. It would have been better if the white-eyed wolf had not said that. Once he spoke, the black wolf and the other two beasts could no longer suppress the panic in their hearts and immediately ran toward the temple. Boom! At the same time, the golden rat and the snow rabbit also sent Wang Ming and Madman flying and rushed toward the top of the mountain. They were also afraid. The madman aside, although he had killed the white python and fierce crocodile and lost his ability to fight, Qin Feiyong was obviously fine. When Qin Feiyong came, it would be too late to escape. Weren't you quite arrogant just now? Why are you running now? Don't even think about leaving. Wang Ming and Madman shouted angrily and led the heaven-destroying sword formation, god-killing sword formation, dragon-slaying formation, and dragon-slaying formation to attack wildly. I told you not to run, but you still ran. You really don't give me face. The white-eyed wolf cursed angrily and shouted, Little Qin Zi, go and kill them. What? Qin Feiyong was stunned. The madman also looked at the white-eyed wolf in astonishment. Looking at the white-eyed wolf's angry appearance, they all thought that the white-eyed wolf would take out his trump card to kill the black wolf and the other two beasts. It was a good opportunity for them to see how strong the white-eyed wolf was now. Unexpectedly, the result was that the thunder was loud, but the rain was small, and Qin Feiyong was forced to take action. White-eyed wolf, aren't we friends and brothers? What's the point of hiding like this? The madman came back to his senses and immediately scolded angrily. Heske, I'm a person who does big things. No matter how weak my opponent is, it has to be an expert at the level of the dragon god. These small fries are not worthy of my full strength at all. The white-eyed wolf raised his head and said proudly, Will you die if you don't pretend? The madman's face was dark. The veins on Qin Feiyong's forehead were also throbbing violently. And an expert at the level of the dragon god? When the dragon god appeared, I didn't see you take any action. You just want to be lazy? Is there a need to find so many excuses? Sigh. Qin Feiyong shook his head and sighed. This wolf cub was getting more and more unreliable. Take care of senior brother Madman. He's a little weak now. Be careful of a sneak attack. Glaring at the white-eyed wolf, Qin Feiyong used the heavenly dragon's 9 steps and rushed to the bottom of the mountain like lightning. Wang Ming and Yang Li also ran over. It's really annoying that we can't fly. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to escape to the top of the mountain. Yang Li said angrily, Don't worry. As long as they don't escape to other places, it won't be a big problem. Qin Feiyong shook his head. The three of them jumped onto the roof and ran straight to the top of the mountain. Lord Dragon Emperor, save us. On the top of the mountain, sensing the auras of Qin Feiyong and Wang Ming, Black Wolf and the other two beasts immediately lay on the square and looked at the temple and shouted, With the power of the mark, you can't beat them. You're really trash. Fire Dragon's roar immediately sounded in the temple. It's our incompetence. Please save us, Lord Dragon Emperor. The 5 great beasts were burning with anxiety. The auras of Qin Feiyang and the other two were about to reach the top of the mountain. Not only are you incompetent, you're also stupid. There are so many beasts nearby. Don't you know to gather them? Fire Dragon roared. Beasts? The 5 beasts were stunned. That's right. There were countless beasts nearby. As long as they gathered all of them, even if Qin Feiyang's group was heaven-defying, they could only die. Quick! Golden Rat roared. Whoosh! Hei Lang immediately soared into the sky. Standing high up in the sky, he roared, "All ferocious beasts, heed my command. Immediately come to the temple and kill Qin Feiyang and his group." His voice was like a bell, resounding in all directions. Huh! Wang Ming and Black Wolf's eyes trembled. Qin Feiyang's pupils also shrank slightly. Madman and White-Eyed Wolf below were also shocked when they heard this. That's right. This place not only had the 10 strongest guardians, but also countless giant beasts. And each of the giant beasts here had the cultivation of the 9th heaven great perfection realm. If that was all, it didn't matter. Because with their methods, they could easily kill a large number of them. But one had to know. These giant beasts could all borrow the power of the blood mark. Although they weren't as strong as the Guardians, they were comparable to the Blood Demon clan. It could be said that each of the giant beasts near the temple was an existence comparable to the ancestral dragon. Once these giant beasts attacked, the consequences would be unimaginable. Young Master, Wang Ming and Black Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang with panicked expressions. Don't worry, I'll get rid of them, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. So what if there were many giant beasts? As long as there were no heaven-defying godly objects or imperishable realm experts interfering, he was invincible. Chapter 2736. Roar. As Black Wolf finished speaking, all the giant beasts in this area roared and flew out of the mountains towards the temple. There was a blood-colored word mark on their glabella that glowed with a thick blood light. 10, 20, 50, 80, 120, 260, 300. Lunatic's face turned pale as he scanned the beasts. There were already 300 behemoths that he could see, and they were all at the 9 heavens perfection realm. How could he fight so many of them? Little Lunatic, can you do it? The White-Eyed Wolf glanced at Lunatic. Nonsense. Can't you see that the aftereffects haven't disappeared? Lunatic said angrily. How long will it take for your aftereffects to disappear? The White-Eyed Wolf frowned. At least an hour. Lunatic's face darkened. Then have a good rest. The White-Eyed Wolf shook his head. The battle would probably be over in an hour. At the same time, Qin Feiyang, Wang Ming, and Yang Li rushed to the top of the mountain with murderous intent. White Wolf, Black Wolf, Silver Wolf, Golden Rat, and Snow Rabbit's pupils constricted. Go to hell. Wang Ming and Yang Li roared as the God-vanquishing sword formation, Heaven-vanquishing sword formation, Dragon-subduing killing formation, and Dragon-annihilating formation charged towards the 5 beasts. Die? Black Wolf smiled sinisterly. When those beasts arrive, you guys will be the ones to die. The 5 beasts' ferocious auras surged into the sky as the blood mark shone brightly. They used their bodies to crash into the 4 killing formations. Boom! The 4 killing formations shattered on the spot as Wang Ming and Yang Li spat out a mouthful of blood, their faces pale. Roar! At this moment, the first batch of behemoths had arrived. The Golden Rat pointed at Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf below and shouted, "Kill them first!" Hearing that, the behemoths immediately pounced towards Lunatic and the White-Eyed Wolf. What? Qin Feiyang and the other two hurriedly looked down. Are you finally afraid? That wolf pup is indeed very strong. But how long can it last against so many behemoths? 3 breaths? 5 breaths? I'm afraid he won't even last a breath. Black Wolf and the other 5 beasts laughed wildly. Wang Ming, Yang Li, Qin Feiyang shouted. The 2 of them understood and rushed down the mountain peak like lightning towards the madman and the White-Eyed Wolf. It's useless. With just the few of you, it's impossible to stop so many giant beasts. This is the result of going against us. The Golden Rat grinned maliciously. Shut up. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent as 500 incarnations appeared. 500? The five beasts were stunned. Wasn't there 300 before? How did it become 500? He has the eye of heaven. Don't activate your deity skill or battle soul. Otherwise, he will only become stronger. Fight him with your physical body. The snow rabbit shouted. That's right. This way, he won't be able to replicate it. The golden rat nodded. Boom. Immediately, the five beasts rushed toward Qin Feiyang. You guys are pretty smart. But do you know how strong these incarnations are? If you guys think that these are just incarnations like the dragon horse and the other three beasts, that would be the biggest mistake. Guiyuan sword technique. 9 return to 1. Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. Clang! The 500 incarnations immediately activated Guiyuan sword technique and thousands of sword shadows appeared out of thin air. Following that, the thousands of sword shadows merged into 500. The power of the mark can't protect you guys. Qin Feiyang shouted. The 500 sword shadows suddenly turned into 5 torrents and rushed toward the 5 beasts. Incarnations? What the hell is this? The 5 beasts were bewildered. Before they could think about it, the 500 sword shadows arrived and drowned them in an instant. Crack! The divine light shield on the 5 beasts was shattered almost at the same time. The 5 beasts turned pale with fright. A fatal crisis arose in their hearts. The power of each sword shadow was actually the same. No wonder the dragon horse, black bear, and black eagle were killed. Without hesitation, they turned and fled. I won't give you a chance. Activate the battle soul. Qin Feiyang shouted angrily. Roar. Accompanied by a sky-shaking dragon roar, the 500 incarnations activated the purple-gold dragon soul. Emperor Divine Prison. 500 Emperor God domains flew toward the 5 beasts in unison. The Emperor Divine Prison now had 2 major abilities. Imprison. Deprive them of consciousness. If there was only one Emperor Divine Prison, it would only be able to imprison the 5 beasts and deprive them of their consciousness for a moment. After all, they were quite strong. But now there were 500 Emperor Divine Prisons. Moreover, 500 Emperor Divine Prisons enveloped the 5 beasts together. One could imagine the power. The 5 beasts were immediately imprisoned in the Emperor Divine Prison, unable to move at all. Their consciousness was also deprived, and their minds were blank. And this was fatal. One had to know. In a battle of this level, the slightest distraction would give the opponent an opportunity, let alone losing consciousness. Clang. At the same time, the 500 sword shadows once again drowned the 5 beasts. Roar. Roar. When they regained consciousness, it was already too late. Accompanied by miserable howls, their bodies were shattered one after another. So strong? The fire dragon's surprised voice came from the temple. Yes, you are becoming stronger and so am I, so you will never be my opponent. After saying that, Qin Feiyang led the 500 incarnations and charged toward the battlefield below. The white-eyed wolf had already started fighting with the giant beasts. Wang Ming and Yang Li had also arrived. But at this moment, their situation was not optimistic. After all, there were too many giant beasts, and they could borrow the power of the mark. If they did not go and help, they would be in trouble. Want to save them? Haha. Do you think I will give you this chance? Aren't you a loyal and righteous person? I will let you have a taste of losing your companions. The fire dragon laughed. A fiery red divine power surged out from the temple and instantly enveloped the entire mountain peak. At that moment, a barrier appeared. You want to keep me here with a mere barrier? Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. The 500 incarnations took a step forward and punched the barrier. However, the full-strength punch of the 500 incarnations was like a stone sinking into the sea and did not cause any damage to the barrier. How is this possible? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Haha, this is also the power of the mark. Furthermore, the power of this emperor's imprint is even stronger than the imprints of those protectors. Just stand here obediently and watch the white-eyed wolf and the others die. The fire dragon laughed wildly. The power of the mark, even more powerful than the guardian's mark? Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened as he looked at the white-eyed wolf and the madman trio. The madman had no combat strength now and still needed Yang Li's special protection. So now, only the white-eyed wolf and Wang Ming were fighting the giant beasts. Wang Ming was already covered in wounds and was on the verge of death. The white-eyed wolf was not much better. Quick! Qin Feiyang shouted at the 500 incarnations. Clang! Sword shadows appeared one after another as the 500 incarnations activated the Guiyuan sword art and blasted the barrier again. Boom! However, the barrier only trembled a little. How is this possible? Qin Feiyang looked at the barrier in shock. The power of the fire dragon's mark was ridiculously powerful. After all, 100 clones, plus 9 to 1, were enough to kill the strongest guardians like the Longma. But now, the combined power of 500 incarnations was actually unable to break the barrier? Suddenly, there was a miserable cry. Qin Feiyang hurriedly looked over and saw Wang Ming being besieged by a group of ferocious beasts. His arm was shattered and his body was almost cracked. White-eyed wolf, hurry up and attack with all your strength, Qin Feiyang shouted. The white-eyed wolf looked at Wang Ming and raised his eyebrows. He looked at the surrounding ferocious beasts and said, "You really want to force me to use my trump card? Don't regret it." Boom! A huge golden beast shadow suddenly appeared behind him. That was his battle soul. Why did you activate your battle soul? Qin Feiyang frowned. He was clear about the white-eyed wolf's battle soul. Although it was very powerful, it could only deprive the opponent of their battle soul. But now, none of the hundreds of giant beasts had activated their battle soul. Wasn't it meaningless to activate their battle soul? Swallow it. Devour their cultivations. The white-eyed wolf roared. The golden giant beast opened its mouth and a gust of wind blew between heaven and earth. What? Devour their cultivation? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yang Li and Lunatic were also shocked. Did they hear it wrong? They had only heard of swallowing life and divine power, but had never heard of swallowing cultivation. However, what happened next, horrified them to no end. They saw that the surrounding giant beasts were uncontrollably emitting waves of qi and blood from their bodies. As the qi and blood gushed out, their cultivation actually began to plummet. Ninth Heaven Realm, Ninth Heaven Realm, Initial Ninth Heaven Realm, Initial Ninth Heaven Realm. But in the blink of an eye, all the beasts' cultivation had plummeted to Initial Ninth Heaven Realm. At this moment, the hundreds of giant beasts also fell into panic. Yang Li, quick! Lunatic shouted. Yang Li nodded and rushed to Wang Ming's side like lightning. He then carried Wang Ming and returned to Lunatic's side without looking back. Quick! Give him this divine pill. Lunatic took out a divine pill with 4 dragon-shaped core qi and threw it to Yang Li. Yang Li caught the pill and stuffed it directly into Wang Ming's mouth. I'm not that weak. After taking the pill, Wang Ming struggled to stand up and looked up at the white-eyed wolf with a face full of shock. Swallowing cultivation. This was too heaven-defying. Taste the taste of despair. The white-eyed wolf sneered. The giant beasts around had already fallen to paramount god. But it didn't stop. It was still going on. What the hell is going on? Could it really devour all of our cultivation? The hundreds of giant beasts were horrified. The giant beasts that were charging over from all directions also stopped in the distant void, watching this scene in horror. This was too terrifying. What kind of monster was this golden wolf? Amazing, amazing. On the mountain peak, Qin Feiyang also couldn't calm the shock in his heart. The white-eyed wolf's battle soul could only deprive the opponent of their battle soul. But now, it had an additional heaven-defying ability to deprive the opponent of their cultivation. It could be said that in China, this deprivation of cultivation was even more terrifying than the deprivation of battle soul. Because even if the battle soul was deprived, at least the cultivation was still there. But when the cultivation was deprived, it was completely destroying a person. Chapter 2737. Run. Soon, the cultivation of hundreds of giant beasts fell to Monarch God. They could no longer suppress the panic in their hearts and fled in all directions. Wang Ming, can you still fight? Madman shouted. Of course. Wang Ming nodded. With a wave of his hand, the heaven and earth cage appeared, covering an area of tens of thousands of miles. Haha, run! The white-eyed wolf laughed, and the golden beast shadow devoured crazily. The chi and blood of hundreds of giant beasts gushed out endlessly and were all swallowed by the golden beast shadow. After a few breaths, the cultivation of these giant beasts fell to war god level, but it was still going on. Yang Li murmured, "It's really going to devour their cultivation. What are you waiting for? Go and kill them." Madman said angrily. Okay, okay, okay. Yang Li quivered and came back to his senses, immediately activating the supreme killing technique. Dragon subduing formation, dragon slaying formation, carried the aura of destruction as it charged towards the group of giant beasts. Roar, roar. These giant beasts were no longer on the same level as everyone else. With the cultivation of a mere war god, even with the power of the mark, Yang Li's strength was enough to kill a large number of them. Boom. In just an instant, hundreds of giant beasts were all destroyed, and blood flowed like a waterfall, dyeing the void red. I really didn't expect that apart from Qin Feiyang and Madman, even this wolf cub is so strong. Yeah. In the past, everyone only paid attention to Qin Feiyang, and by Qin Feiyang's side, only that person called Hua Yi could attract everyone's attention. But after entering the hell of the king of the underworld, first, the madman displayed astonishing talent and strength, and now this wolf king, there's a good saying, birds of a feather flock together. Qin Feiyang himself is so monstrous. How can the people and beasts around him be weak? In the distance, the straw-shoes old man, the green-robed old woman, little demon child, the burly man, the golden-robed man, and the enchanting woman were all shocked. That's right. They were the first people that Qin Feiyang noticed. After they followed, they didn't show their faces and hid in the dark to observe. The giant tiger and the other two beasts were still beside them. They looked at the white-eyed wolf in awe. What should we do? Are we still going? The death of hundreds of giant beasts also served as a deterrent to the surrounding beast hordes. There were even more ferocious beasts in the distant void. There were at least a few thousand of them. Furthermore, a large number of giant beasts were rushing over. But at this moment, the thousands of giant beasts looked at each other, but none of them dared to charge forward. Their eyes were filled with fear. Come one, I'll kill one, kill two, I'll kill two. The white-eyed wolf looked around in a domineering manner. The pupils of all the beasts shrank. Trash, all of you are trash. What's the use of keeping your consciousness? The roar of the fire dragon suddenly rang out. Following closely, the blood character mark on the forehead of all the giant beasts automatically emitted a dazzling bloody light. Immediately, the gazes of these ferocious beasts became sluggish. What happened? The white-eyed wolf and madman were bewildered. The same was true for the straw-sandal old man's group, because the giant tiger and the other two beasts beside them had also become like this. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. The fire dragon roared. Roar. Immediately, the eyes of those sluggish giant beasts suddenly turned blood red, glowing with a bloodthirsty light as they pounced on the white-eyed wolf and madman. And at the same time, the giant tiger and the other two beasts also pounced on the straw-sandal old man with red eyes. What the hell is going on? The few of them dodged and looked at the giant tiger and the other two beasts. Die. All of you have to die. Kill all of you. The giant beasts seemed to have been possessed. Their fear of the few of them disappeared, leaving only madness and bloodthirstiness in their eyes. Roar. With a fierce roar, the three beasts pounced on the few of them again. Looking at their current appearance, it seems that their minds have been controlled by the fire dragon. Little demon child frowned. Then just kill them. The burly man took a step forward and punched the giant tiger and the other two beasts. The giant tiger and the other two beasts did not have the slightest fear. Their expressions were extremely ferocious as they attacked the burly man. With a loud bang, the burly man was sent flying by the giant tiger and the other two beasts, blood gushing out of his mouth. The The white-eyed wolf and madman immediately looked at the burly man. Sure enough, there was someone. Qin Feiyong, who was standing on the top of the mountain, could not help but frown. The burly man glanced at Qin Feiyong and the others, then turned to stare at the giant tiger and the other two beasts with a murderous look in his eyes. After being controlled by the fire dragon, their strength seems to have become a lot stronger. Let's join forces and kill them, little demon child shouted. Boom. The six of them attacked together and killed the giant tiger and the other two beasts with unstoppable strength. However, the commotion here also attracted the attention of other giant beasts. Roar! Immediately, hundreds of beasts charged toward them. What should we do? The enchanting woman frowned. I originally wanted to sit back and enjoy the fruits of their labor, but now it seems that we can only join forces with Qin Feiyong and the others. Let's go. The straw-shoe old man waved his hand, and the six of them immediately flew toward the white-eyed wolf and madman. There's more than one? Madman frowned. It's actually them. Wang Ming and Yang Li were startled. You know them? Madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at the two of them in bewilderment. They are the ultimate experts in seclusion. Wang Ming nodded. Ultimate experts in seclusion, Madman murmured. It seemed that these ultimate experts in seclusion had indeed been hiding near the plains as they had expected. When they saw them enter the forest of gods and demons, they had followed them all the way here. They wanted to reap the benefits without doing anything. At this thought, a cold light flashed in Madman's eyes. Don't be rash. They have also become the targets of the giant beasts. We might as well join forces with them first. After all, I'm seriously injured, and you don't have any combat strength. There's only Yang Li and the white-eyed wolf. If we fight with them, it'll be one disaster after another, Wang Ming said telepathically. I agree. From the looks of it, they seem to be thinking the same thing. Yang Li nodded. All right, Madman said to himself. Everyone, nice to meet you. The six of them smiled as they stood in front of Madman and the others. Enough chit-chat. Prepare for battle, Madman said in a deep voice. The six of them were slightly stunned. This was truly a straightforward youngster. Roar! A group of giant beasts charged at them from all directions. There was no way out. Brother Wolf, you're in charge of depriving them of their cultivation. Yang Li, and you six ultimate experts in seclusion, you're in charge of killing them. Wang Ming, quickly heal your injuries and be ready to provide support. Begin. Madman shouted. At this moment, although he had lost his combat strength, he was like a commander. He was calm and controlled the situation. Boom. Yang Li, the burly man, and the other five immediately released their auras. Their auras weren't any weaker than Yang Li's. Hee, this is more interesting. The white-eyed wolf grinned and roared, Swallow. The golden beast shadow suddenly opened its mouth, and a gust of wind swept through the area like a storm. Roar! The giant beasts rushed in like locusts, and their cultivation immediately began to plummet. Perfect 9 Heavens Realm, Great Success 9 Heavens Realm, Minor Success 9 Heavens Realm, in just an instant. The cultivation of the group of giant beasts at the front fell to the paramount god level. Kill. It was also at this moment that Madman roared. Yang Li waved his hand, and 2 killing arrays whizzed forward. The burly man and the other 5 also took out a divine artifact each. There were long spears, long swords, iron rods. They were all supreme-level divine artifacts. Clang! As divine power poured in, the 6 supreme-level divine artifacts recovered and charged at the giant beasts. As long as these giant beasts' cultivation fell to the paramount god level, it wouldn't be difficult for them to kill them. In an instant, a rain of blood fell from the sky. But those giant beasts weren't afraid of death at all. They were like puppets, one after another. More than a dozen fierce beasts whose cultivation had fallen to the minor success supreme level rushed behind Yang Li like crazy. They opened their bloody mouths and bared their fangs as they charged at Yang Li. Wang Ming. Madman immediately shouted coldly. Although Wang Ming was recovering from his injuries, his gaze was still sweeping over the battlefield. When he heard Madman's shout, he immediately attacked with the god-slaying sword array. The dozen or so fierce beasts were splattered with blood. Thanks. Yang Li thanked him without turning his head and continued to charge at the giant beasts in front of him. The straw-shoe old man and the others looked at Wang Ming and Yang Li with an inexplicable light in their eyes. Although it seemed like a small matter, there was a deep meaning behind it. Because Yang Li didn't turn his head from beginning to end. This was a form of trust. He trusted Madman and Wang Ming. He trusted that Madman and Wang Ming could help him deal with the crisis behind him. This kind of unconditional trust for each other was rare in this world. They were also aware of Wang Ming and Yang Li's situation. As the two divine emperors of the Dragon Slayer Palace, although they could be considered companions, there was more or less a grudge between them. After all, in the outside world, even family members couldn't completely trust each other. But now, the two of them trusted each other so much. Obviously, this changed after following Qin Feiyang. What kind of charm did this little guy have to change two people in such a short time? At the top of the mountain, Qin Feiyang also breathed a sigh of relief. With the straw-shoe old man and the other 5, plus the white-eyed wolf's heaven-defying ability, there shouldn't be any danger for the time being. Withdrawing his gaze, Qin Feiyang looked at the temple and frowned. You can control these giant beasts? That's right. Simply put, this blood word mark is equivalent to a secret control technique. On the one hand, the blood word mark can lend them powerful combat strength. On the other hand, when they are disobedient, you can control their minds and turn them into obedient killing puppets. The fire dragon's voice rang out. So, only by killing you can we end all of this? Qin Feiyang said. Yes, but do you have this ability? You can enter the temple? Haha. The fire dragon laughed contemptuously. Phew. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and said, maybe the lesson I taught you back then wasn't enough. Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, more than 2,000 incarnations appeared behind him. The fire dragon was bewildered. This is all of the 3,000 incarnations. Qin Feiyang shouted. Clang. The 3,000 incarnations activated the Guiyuan sword art at the same time. In an instant, 3,000 sword shadows soared into the sky, their terrifying sharpness tearing through the void. The barrier that enveloped the mountain peak began to distort and shatter. If we want to end all of this, we must kill the fire dragon and follow me to blast open this temple. Qin Feiyang roared, and above his head, a sword shadow also condensed. Kill. Following closely, 3,001 sword shadows mightily smashed towards the temple gate. Chapter 2738. Boom. In that instant, all the sword shadows slammed into the main door of the temple. A destructive wave of air immediately surged out in all directions with an earth-shattering momentum. The barrier that enveloped the mountain peak was completely shattered. However, the temple was like a towering mountain that stood in front of them without moving at all. The main door didn't move either. It was as if the 3,001 sword shadows had slammed into a hard rock. This, Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. The 3,000 clones couldn't help but frown. This was already their strongest move, but it still couldn't break open the main door of the temple? Could it be, all of a sudden? Qin Feiyang's gaze flickered. This temple was actually a heaven-defying divine weapon? Haha, how is it? Do you feel very helpless? As long as I'm here, you'll never leave this place alive. Because I already control all the ferocious beasts in the forest of gods and demons. In other words, all the giant beasts in the forest of gods and demons are rushing here now. Haha, just wait for despair. The fire dragon laughed maniacally. What? Qin Feiyang's gaze flickered. All the ferocious beasts in the forest of gods and demons were rushing here now? If that was the case, no matter how heaven-defying their moves were, they would be exhausted to death sooner or later. Qin Feiyang shouted, Wang Ming, Yang Li, lend me your divine arts. HM? Lend me your divine arts? What does that mean? The 6 of them were bewildered. But Wang Ming and Yang Li understood why. The Heaven-Vanquishing Sword Array, God-Vanquishing Sword Array, Dragon-Slaying Array, and Dragon-Subduing Killing Array. The 4 most powerful killing arrays appeared in an instant. Copy! Qin Feiyang roared. The 3,000 clones immediately activated the Eye of Heaven, and the 4 killing arrays were instantly copied. 4 killing arrays and 3,000 clones. That was a total of 12,000 killing arrays that covered half the sky. Boom! Clang! A terrifying aura and a world-destroying sharpness shattered the heavens and the earth. The giant beasts that were rushing towards the white-eyed wolf and the others were all killed by this aura and sharpness. I see. At this moment, the old man and his crew finally came to a realization. This was the so-called borrowing. The combination of the Eye of Heaven and the 3,000 incarnations was truly despairing. Just like now, none of them had the confidence to take on these 12,000 killing formations. Terrifying, truly terrifying. Destroy the divine palace. Qin Feiyang roared. Under the control of the 3,000 incarnations, the 12,000 killing formations instantly turned into a torrent and blasted towards the mountain peak. Boom! Rumbling sounds immediately resounded, like endless thunderclaps ringing in the ears. The destructive aura that was born from the collision swept out in all directions like crushing dry weeds. The mountains, the earth, and the void within millions of miles were all collapsing and sinking. Dodge! Madman's expression changed, and he immediately roared. This destructive aura could even kill them instantly. Where can you hide? Wang Ming, Yang Li, the old man, and the others also changed their expressions. The entire world was drowned by this aura. Run as far as you can, quick! Madman roared. Yang Li waved his hand and swept up the white-eyed wolf, Wang Ming, and Madman. Then he activated a supreme-level auxiliary spell and fled into the distance without looking back. Seeing this, the 6 old men also activated their supreme-level auxiliary spells and followed closely behind Madman and the others. Roar! However, the giant beasts in all directions acted as if they didn't see them and continued to attack Madman and the others. Boom! The shockwave rolled over. All the beasts were instantly killed, and not a single one was left alive. Dozens of breaths later. Fuck! This is too terrifying. If we didn't escape quickly, I'm afraid we would have died under this aura. Madman and the others fled into the mountains and jumped to the top of a giant mountain peak. They looked at the ground in front of them with lingering fear. The area around the temple had become a death zone, and not a single blade of grass was left. Not a single giant beast could be found. That destructive aura turned into a terrifying storm that howled in the void, and no one dared to step into it. I wonder if we can blast open the temple. Madman muttered. If we can't blast open the temple with this, it means that the temple itself is a heaven-defying divine artifact. Yang Li said, Roar! Suddenly, the roars of beasts sounded from behind them. HM? The group of people hurriedly turned around and saw that in the void behind them, hordes of giant beasts were roaring and charging towards them. Why are there so many? The enchanting woman's face turned pale. White-eyed wolf, Wang Ming, Yang Li, senior brother Madman. All the beasts in the divine demon forest are now under the control of the fire dragon. You must be careful. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's roar came from the direction of the temple. What? All the giant beasts in the divine demon forest are now under the control of the fire dragon. The group's eyes trembled. Didn't this mean that they had to face all the giant beasts in the divine demon forest? Who knew how many giant beasts there were in the divine demon forest? Could they kill all of them? Huff. Madman took a deep breath and looked at the white-eyed wolf and Wang Ming. Seems like we've truly reached a moment of life and death. The white-eyed wolf and Wang Ming looked at each other. Yang Li chuckled. Let's wait and see. Let's see if we kill all of them, or if they kill us. You can still laugh? Little devil child frowned. Since it's already a dead end, what's the use of frowning? We might as well look on the bright side. Yang Li said. That's right. My injuries are almost healed. Let's get ready for battle. Wang Ming looked at the giant beasts that were swarming over and laughed. The white-eyed wolf looked at Wang Ming and Yang Li. There's something I have to tell you so that you can be mentally prepared. What is it? Everyone looked at him suspiciously. This innate divine ability that deprives you of your cultivation can only last for an hour. The white-eyed wolf said, "What? An hour?" The expressions of the straw shoes old man and the other 5 instantly changed. Madman frowned and asked, "What about after an hour?" "Then it can only be activated tomorrow." The white-eyed wolf said, "In other words, your innate divine ability can only be activated once a day for an hour each time?" Madman said, "That's right." The white-eyed wolf nodded. "An hour," Madman murmured and laughed. "Then I'll hold on for an hour first. After that, I'll come and protect you." "You?" Wang Ming and Yang Li stared blankly at Madman. "Don't forget, I still have the Blood Fiend's 6 styles and the profound divine ability of the Law of Slaughter," Madman said proudly. "Phew." Wang Ming and Yang Li looked at each other, exhaled deeply, and shouted, "Let's fight." The battle started again. At the same time, the temple. Qin Feiyong stood in the square with his 3,000 clones standing behind him as usual. At this moment, they all stared fixedly at the divine palace. The dust gradually dissipated. The temple was revealed. When they saw the temple, the expressions of Qin Feiyong and his 3,000 clones froze. Even after being bombarded by 12,000 killing arrays, the temple was still undamaged. At that moment, Qin Feiyong truly felt helpless. "Haha, how is it? Do you know how strong the temple is now?" The fire dragon laughed loudly, filled with provocation and contempt. "This is truly a heaven-defying divine artifact," Qin Feiyong whispered. "That's right. This is a heaven-defying divine artifact. I don't mind telling you that there's also the inheritance of the power of laws inside." The fire dragon said. "What?" Qin Feiyong's gaze flickered. "The inheritance of the power of laws? How is that possible?" Previously, King Yu said that there was indeed a chance of comprehending the power of laws after passing the test of the divine demonic forest. However, there was no real inheritance of the power of laws. In the divine demonic forest, there are 2 ways to comprehend the power of laws. The fire dragon said. 2 ways? Qin Feiyong frowned. "That's right. The first way is to pass the test of the illusion. The illusion of the divine demonic forest is evolved from the power of laws. In the illusion, one can find the profound meaning of the power of laws and comprehend its essence. There is a chance of comprehending the power of laws." The fire dragon seemed to be in a good mood as he explained slowly. Qin Feiyong suddenly realized something. However, compared to the second way, the first way has a lot of risk, because one's soul will automatically disappear after 3 days in the illusion. In just 3 days, almost no one can find the profound meaning of the power of laws and comprehend its essence to break the illusion. Therefore, the first method is to take a person's life. Many people don't even understand what is going on before their soul disappears. As for the second way, there is naturally no such risk, because this is a direct inheritance. As long as you have talent and comprehension, you will be able to gain something. The fire dragon said. Qin Feiyong frowned and said, "So you've been occupying this shrine?" "Occupying? No, no, no. I am here to guard this place under orders," the fire dragon said. "Under orders?" Qin Feiyong was taken aback. His eyes dimmed slightly as he asked, "Whose orders? Ice dragon? Small beast?" "No matter if it's an ice dragon or a small beast, can you beat them? If I can't beat them, what's the point of telling you?" The fire dragon's tone was full of disdain. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, "Even if you don't say it, I should be able to guess. It should be Ice Dragon. After all, hell is his world." "Ice Dragon's world? Haha, how preposterous." The fire dragon laughed. Qin Feiyong was surprised. Listening to the fire dragon's words, could it be that it was not? Everything in this world only has one master, and that is the creation god. Take the Black Tortoise world, for example. Although it is in your hands now, as long as the creation god is willing, he can immediately take it back. And you are powerless to resist. The fire dragon said contemptuously. "Creation god." Qin Feiyong's body trembled slightly as he said in a deep voice, "You have seen the creation god? Are you stupid?" A supreme existence like the god of creation is not something that ants like us can see, the fire dragon said in disdain. Well then, answer me. Is this hell the third level of the god level? Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. You really want to know? The fire dragon pondered for a while and asked. Chapter 2739. Here, the fire dragon whetted Qin Feiyong's appetite and said, This is the third floor of the miracle. What? Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled as he glanced around. It was really the third floor of the miracle. The fire dragon said again, You have been to this temple before? Been here before? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Yes. Try to recall, before entering the ancient world, did you come to the third floor? The fire dragon asked. Before entering the ancient world, Qin Feiyong murmured. His sealed memories emerged like a tide. That year, he brought everyone into the miracle. In order to confirm the death of his cousin and the inner demons, he asked the fire python to let him enter the third floor. For the sake of their friendship, the fire python also helped him. At that time, after entering the third floor, they landed in a hall. There was nothing in the hall, but this hall was very sturdy. At that time, they couldn't blast open the door of the hall. So, they left it at that and opened the space-time gate to return to the second floor and then entered the ancient world. Although the process was very short, he remembered every detail at that time. According to what the fire dragon said, the hall they entered back then was this temple in front of him. This sudden truth made it hard for Qin Feiyong to accept. Once, he was only one step away from the Nether King's hell. If he could blast open the door back then, he could directly enter the Nether King's hell. In other words, he returned to this place after taking a big detour. The door of the temple that he tried to blast open was the hall he had been to before. This was such a comical and dramatic scene. Do you feel particularly annoyed? The Nether King's hell was clearly in front of you, but you had to take a big detour from the ancient world, the fire dragon joked. Qin Feiyong clenched his hands and said in a deep voice, No, if the temple is really that hall, why didn't I see you back then? Didn't I feel the existence of the time array? Because the temple has a total of 2 floors. Back then, you were on the first floor. At that time, I was also on the second floor and saw you with my own eyes. The fire dragon sneered. The second floor. Qin Feiyong murmured and shook his head violently. I don't believe it. You don't believe me? Then do you know where your inner demons and Lu Jiajin died? They died in the divine devil forest. Haha. The fire dragon laughed wildly. What? Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled as he turned to look at the divine devil forest. This was where Big Cousin and the inner demon had died, once. He had countless illusions and countless lucky chances that his inner demon and his eldest cousin might still be alive. Although he rarely mentioned these things, anyone who knew him well knew that he could not accept the deaths of inner demon and inner demon. He had always had hope, but now, the fire dragon's words had undoubtedly extinguished the last shred of hope in his heart. Pain. His heart began to ache. The anger and grief in his heart were uncontrollable. The fire dragon, the ice dragon, the golden small beast. All of them deserved to die. All of them deserved to die. Boom. A wave of murderous energy surged out of his body. Clang. A loud sound rang in the air. The crimson sword soul, the 9-leaf fire lotus, appeared. I don't care if you can understand what I'm saying. You must destroy this temple today. Qin Feiyong roared. However, the 2 war souls hovered in the air. They did not move at all. Do it. Qin Feiyong roared. His eyes were bloodshot. Clang. The crimson sword soul trembled in the air. A destructive aura swept out. The 9-leaf fire lotus surged with waves of fire and released a terrifying aura. This is... The fire dragon exclaimed in shock. I don't care about the legacy of laws, much less the time formation. I only want it destroyed. Qin Feiyong roared. The 2 war souls immediately charged toward the temple. Rumble. The huge peak beneath their feet trembled. The void and the ground shattered and caved in. What's going on? Even the madman and the others who were millions of miles away could sense the terrifying aura and Qin Feiyong's towering rage. This is Crimson Sword Soul, the 9-leaf fire lotus. I didn't expect the temple to force little Qin Zi to this extent, the white-eyed wolf muttered to himself. However, what was with Qin Feiyang's rage? Boom. On the peak of the mountain, accompanied by an earth-shattering boom, the two fighting souls slammed into the temple. The temple began to tremble as well. Cracks appeared on the peak, the plaza, and the huge peak. They're so powerful? The fire dragon was shocked. If this were to continue, the temple might really be destroyed. Shatter it! Qin Feiyang roared hysterically. Crack! A crack suddenly appeared on the roof of the temple. Damn it! Why is it so powerful? The fire dragon's expression changed drastically when he saw the crack. He could no longer remain calm. Swoosh! At this moment, a golden small beast appeared silently in the air. The small beast was only the size of a palm. Its body was like a frog, but its body was covered in golden scales. It hovered in the air and looked down at Qin Feiyang. There was a hint of displeasure in its golden eyes. Suddenly, another figure appeared silently next to the small beast. He looked down at Qin Feiyang and frowned. What's going on? This person was none other than Ice Dragon. Needless to say, the small beast was the golden small beast that took away Chang Shui and sealed the ancient castle. Isn't it obvious? This kid wants to overturn the heavens. The small beast pursed its lips. Overturn the heavens? The ice dragon was stunned. He looked down at Qin Feiyang and shook his head. Boss Frog, to be honest, his two war souls really need to be sealed. Sealed? The small beast remained silent. With these two war souls, who else in the world can suppress him except for us? It has seriously damaged the balance of the world. The ice dragon sighed. That's true. The small beast nodded and grabbed its golden claws. Two rays of golden light emerged. The furious Qin Feiyang immediately quivered and raised his head abruptly to look. It's you again. When he saw the small beast and the ice dragon, Qin Feiyang was instantly furious. However, the ice dragon and the small beast turned a deaf ear to him. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang noticed the two rays of golden light and realized that they were directed at the two war souls. He said angrily, "What are you doing?" However, the ice dragon and the small beast still ignored him. Clang! Boom! The two war souls seemed to have sensed the danger and rushed toward the two rays of golden light. It's okay to be arrogant in front of the ice dragon, but how dare you be so arrogant in front of Boss Frog? The little golden beast snorted coldly and shouted, "Seal for me!" The two rays of golden light immediately entered the two war souls. Immediately, the aura of the two war souls began to dissipate. The golden light sealed them, and then they returned to Qin Feiyang's body. Seal? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. He hurriedly controlled the two war souls. However, rays of golden light emerged and cut off the connection between him and the two war souls. Even the war souls have been sealed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He suddenly looked up at the golden small beast and said angrily, "You took away Chang Shui, sealed the ancient castle, and now sealed the two war souls. What are you trying to do?" "What am I trying to do? Isn't it obvious? Boss Frog just wants to see your helpless and desperate look," the golden small beast said. Bastard, bastard, what did I do to offend you? Why are you doing this to me? I don't accept this." Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. "If you don't accept this, you can only hold it in." The golden small beast smiled disdainfully and said, "However, Boss Frog can also give you a chance." Qin Feiyang was stunned and said in a low voice, "What chance?" The golden small beast waved its claws and a fire dragon suddenly appeared above the mountain peak. "Greetings, Lord Ice Dragon and Lord Beast God." The fire dragon immediately prostrated on the ground and greeted respectfully. The golden small beast said, "You two fight?" "What?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at the fire dragon. The fire dragon was also stunned and looked down at Qin Feiyang. "Let them fight? What did that mean?" The golden small beast looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "If you win against the fire dragon, Boss Frog will not only allow you to enter the second level of the temple, but also fulfill one of your requests." Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly lit up and asked, "Any request?" "Of course not. If you ask Boss Frog to die, then Boss Frog will suffer a great loss, the golden small beast said. You are also afraid of death. Qin Fei Yong sneered. Boss Frog wants to die, but it's difficult because in this world, other than Boss Frog, no one can kill Boss Frog. The golden small beast shook its head with a helpless look. Qin Fei Yong was angry and wanted to laugh at the same time. Finally, he met a guy who could act better than the white-eyed wolf. Same. The golden small beast looked at the fire dragon and said, if you can kill Qin Fei Yong, then Boss Frog will allow you to enter the 4th level of the temple. The 4th level of the temple. The fire dragon's body suddenly trembled. What? There's a 4th level of the temple? Qin Fei Yong was shocked. Of course. The 4th level is the real king's land. There, even undead realm experts are as common as dogs. The golden small beast said. Omnipotent experts are also as common as dogs. Qin Fei Yong's body and mind trembled. How many places in this world were there that he didn't know? Then let's begin. The golden small beast said, Qin Fei Yong, don't blame me. The temptation of the 4th level is too great. Go to hell. The fire dragon roared and immediately swung its giant tail at Qin Fei Yong. You're the one who should die. Qin Fei Yong waved his hand and threw a punch at the dragon's tail without holding back. Boom. In an instant, the fist and the giant tail collided. Poof. Qin Fei Yong immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out like a meteorite, smashing into the broken ground below. What a powerful force. Qin Fei Yong was shocked. Compared to the fire dragon in the past, the current fire dragon was completely different. This power was several times more terrifying than the 10 great guardians, including the Longma. Things are different now. Killing you is just a matter of moving my finger. The fire dragon laughed and swooped down at Qin Fei Yong. Its body was covered in flames, and the world here became a big furnace. Chapter 2740. Qin Fei Yong stood up and raised his head to look at Hong Long. Only then did he notice that there was a blood mark between the fire dragon's eyebrows. However, just like the guardian of the temple, the blood mark was fiery red and was emitting rays of fiery red divine light. It must be the power of the mark. The fire dragon's extraordinary strength must be related to the mark. Facing the current fire dragon, his fighting soul was sealed and he couldn't use his godly item due to the rules. What means did he have to defeat the fire dragon? At the thought of this, 3 words appeared in his mind. 3,000 avatars. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Qin Fei Yong activated the 3,000 avatars. Although the 3,000 avatars are strong, they are useless against me. The fire dragon swooped down and opened its mouth to spit out a dragon breath, instantly crushing half of the avatars. Not only was its strength unimaginably strong, but its speed was also unmatched. Even Qin Fei Yong couldn't catch up with it. Guiyuan sword technique. Qin Fei Yong roared. Following his roar, the remaining half of the avatars activated the Guiyuan sword technique. More than 1,000 sword shadows appeared out of thin air and destroyed everything in their path. Kill. All the avatars roared in unison. More than 1,000 sword shadows charged toward the fire dragon in a frenzy. Clang! The sword shadows slashed the fire dragon's body and collided with the dragon scales, creating dazzling sparks and deafening sounds of metal. However, such powerful sword shadows didn't even break a single dragon scale. In other words, facing more than 1,000 sword shadows head-on, the fire dragon was unscathed. How is this possible? Qin Fei Yong was in a daze. The power of the fire dragon's mark was too ridiculous. Do you think it's still the 1st and 2nd level? Without the godly weapon and godly skill, you're just an ant. I can crush you anytime. The fire dragon laughed out loud. It was in high spirits. It raised its dragon claw and crushed the 1,000 sword shadows as easily as crushing dry weeds. Puff. Qin Fei Yong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Following closely, the fire dragon raised its huge tail again and slapped the body on the ground. A fatal crisis appeared. Qin Fei Yong quickly activated the heavenly deity armor. However, Even the heavenly deity armor formed by a sovereign-grade divine art was instantly shattered. Qin Feiyang spat out another mouthful of blood. Like a cannonball, he smashed into the ground. The impact had almost shattered all the bones in his body. His body was also dripping with blood. His entire body was almost deformed. Haha, I really didn't expect you to be so weak. How dare you boast that you were able to kill me in the past, and you can still kill me now? The fire dragon laughed wildly. A wave of divine power rolled out and turned into a monstrous wave of fire that flooded the sky and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang took out a divine life pill and threw it into his mouth. Then, he slowly got up and looked at the wave of fire. The fire dragon, who had borrowed the power of the mark, was no longer someone he could deal with. Because the power of the fire dragon's mark, in a sense, was comparable to the battle strength of an imperishable stage expert. Whether it was the strength of the physical body, the power, or the divine power, they were all invulnerable. However, he would not admit defeat. In his life, there was no such thing as admitting defeat. Boom. Divine Dragon Art, Fire Phoenix Art, End of Ruins Art, Guiyuan Sword Art, Eclipse Moon, Fire Thunder Divine Art. All the sovereign-grade divine arts were activated in an instant. The divine power was vast and destructive in all directions. The will of I, Qin Feiyang, is not something an ant like you can destroy. Qin Feiyang roared, and the divine arts rushed toward the wave of fire. Boom. Divine Dragon Art collapsed. Fire Phoenix Art collapsed. Guiyuan Sword Art collapsed. Fire Thunder Divine Art collapsed. One by one, the sovereign-grade divine arts collapsed and dissipated. They were no match for him at all. If it had been anyone else in this situation, they would have given up in despair. Because the fire dragon was already so powerful that people could only look up to him. But Qin Feiyang's battle intent was even more terrifying. Swoosh. 3,000 clones appeared again. All of the supreme-grade divine arts were once again unleashed. This time, it was 3,000 times more powerful than before. Divine Dragon Art, 3,000. Fire Phoenix Art, 3,000. Fire Thunder Divine Art, 3,000. Guiyuan Sword Art, 3,000. Eclipse Moon, End of Ruins Art, Qilin Art, and even the Soul Destruction Art were activated. 8 sovereign-grade killing techniques. At this moment, all the divine arts added up to a total of 24,000. This was twice as many as when he had activated the Eye of Heaven to copy Wang Ming and Yang Li's divine arts. Boom. With a wave of Qin Feiyang's hand, more than 20,000 divine arts rushed forward. The divine arts shattered continuously, but the fire wave formed by divine power also gradually dissipated. The fire dragon looked at this scene in shock. It was Qin Feiyang to begin with, but because of the 3,000 clones, Qin Feiyang's battle strength had increased by 3,000 times. What surprised it the most was that after all these years, Qin Feiyang had already mastered so many sovereign-grade divine arts. 8 great killing techniques, plus the Wisdom King Golden Body, Armor of the Gods, and Heavenly Dragon's 9 steps. Didn't that mean that he now had 11 sovereign-grade divine arts? One person actually had so many sovereign-grade divine arts. How terrifying. And it remembered that the Guiyuan Sword Art, Eclipse Moon, and End of Ruins Art were only battle techniques back then. But now, they had all been upgraded to the sovereign grade. However, this didn't seem to be a big deal when it happened to Qin Feiyang. Because this person was full of miracles. Boom. More than half of the divine arts shattered. The fire wave was finally annihilated, and the remaining divine arts drowned the fire dragon. 24,000 divine arts. Even if more than half were shattered, there were still 7,000 to 8,000 left. This destructive force could be imagined. Within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, everything turned into nothingness in an instant. However, when the dust settled, revealing the fire dragon's figure, the fire dragon was still unharmed. There was a layer of fiery red divine light shield on its body, and this was the power of the mark. In other words, the power of this mark helped the fire dragon block all the divine arts. Who was the owner of this mark? Ice dragon? Small beast? Or the god of creation? It was terrifying to such an extent. Have you seen it? The mark of the dragon horse and the others is on a completely different level from this emperor's mark. With this mark, even if your methods are heaven-defying, you can forget about hurting this emperor's dragon scales. You even threaten to kill this emperor? You really know how to daydream. Now, this emperor will send you to hell. The fire dragon smiled hideously, its huge body crushing the void and earth as it charged towards Qin Feiyang. Kill! Qin Feiyang roared. The 3,000 incarnations once again activated all the supreme divine arts and charged towards the fire dragon with an apocalyptic aura. But the fire dragon had no intention of dodging, allowing the divine arts to hit its body without leaving a single wound. As the last divine art was shattered, the fire dragon flew above Qin Feiyang's head, its dragon claws reaching out and grabbing Qin Feiyang. Those sharp claws immediately pierced Qin Feiyang's body, causing blood to gush out. There was no doubt that the fire dragon could crush Qin Feiyang with just a bit of strength. The excruciating pain caused Qin Feiyang's face to twist, and the 3,000 incarnations were also crushed by the fire dragon's huge tail. Are you angry? The person who lost to you in the past can now crush you like an ant. The fire dragon laughed. It's too early for you to be arrogant. Qin Feiyang roared, and the Emperor Divine Prison instantly opened. The fire dragon's consciousness went blank. Although your physical body and strength have become stronger because of the mark, your consciousness is no different from ours. The Emperor Divine Prison can completely take away your consciousness. Qin Feiyang struggled to break free from the dragon claws and took out a supreme divine artifact. Of course, he didn't lack supreme divine artifacts now. He had obtained a few thousand of them in the Fallen Valley. At this moment, the supreme divine artifact he took out was a 1-meter-long battle sword. It was blood-red as if it was made of flesh and blood, emitting a shocking murderous aura. Swoosh! He suddenly jumped and landed on the fire dragon's head. Then, he grabbed the sword hilt with both hands and pointed the sword downwards. Divine power surged out, and the battle sword instantly recovered. Kill! Following closely, he roared, grabbed the sword shadow and stabbed towards the fire dragon's head with all his strength. To the fire dragon, having its consciousness taken away was fatal, because without consciousness, it couldn't borrow the power of the mark. Kacha! The dragon scales on the top of the head immediately shattered. The entire battle sword instantly sank into the fire dragon's head. Dragon blood immediately spurted out. Ayo! The intense pain caused the fire dragon to wake up. The mark between its eyebrows suddenly shot out a divine light and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. However, Qin Feiyang didn't dodge at all. Because he couldn't dodge, there was only this one chance. If he didn't take advantage of this opportunity to kill the fire dragon and let the fire dragon be on guard, then the next time he wanted to open the Emperor Prison, it would be very difficult to succeed. The power of the mark smashed onto his body. A head-sized bloody hole appeared on his chest, penetrating from front to back. Puff! Blood gushed out of Qin Feiyang's mouth as a sense of weakness swept over him. His aura was also declining. Die for me! Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth, roared, and smashed his fist towards the sword hilt. Clang! Immediately, the entire battle sword disappeared into the fire dragon's head. That terrifying edge tore apart the fire dragon's sea of consciousness on the spot and attacked his soul. Damn it! The fire dragon roared. The power of the mark poured into his sea of consciousness like a tide, protecting his soul. Qin Feiyang also fell down, his entire body powerlessly falling to the ground. The fire dragon isn't dead yet. I can't faint yet, Qin Feiyang muttered. With a thought, the 3,000 incarnations appeared once again. Following closely, another pile of supreme-level divine artifacts appeared. Quick, kill him! Qin Feiyang shouted weakly. The 3,000 incarnations immediately went forward, grabbing the supreme-level divine arts one by one, and then swarmed forward. Scram! The fire dragon roared as its huge tail swept out. Humph! The 3,000 incarnations used the heavenly dragon's 9 steps like ghosts. Although there were a few hundred incarnations that were swept by the huge tail and shattered on the spot, the other incarnations all rushed towards the fire dragon's head. Kill! One by one, the supreme-level divine artifacts crazily recovered, their sharpness destroying the world. Just like Qin Feiyang before, all the incarnations grabbed the supreme-level divine artifacts and pierced towards the fire dragon's already shattered head. Chapter 2741. Don't even think about it. The fire dragon roared like thunder as the power of the imprint continued to bombard the supreme-level divine artifact. In its heart, it was extremely regretful. It had already suffered a great loss in the hands of Qin Feiyang, and now it still dared to look down on him? Wasn't this stupid? However, why hadn't it seen this ability to deprive one's consciousness before? When it had fought with Qin Feiyang, it had also experienced the Emperor Prison. Didn't this Emperor Prison only have the ability to imprison? Actually, the ability to deprive one's consciousness appeared when Qin Feiyang became a god. At that time, the fire dragon had already entered the third level, so it didn't know. It was precisely because it didn't know about this ability that it was caught off guard and was caught off guard. Qin Feiyang was a person who was very good at seizing opportunities. As long as there was a slight flaw, he would be able to give the opponent a fatal blow. Just like now, there was only one way to kill the fire dragon, and that was to shatter its divine soul. Please, you must kill it. Qin Feiyang swallowed the divine life pill and looked at the incarnations as he muttered to himself. There were still more than 2,000 incarnations left. Although there were incarnations being shattered every minute and every second, the remaining incarnations were all trying their best to revive the supreme-level divine artifact and kill the fire dragon. Previously, Qin Feiyang's battle sword that had pierced into the fire dragon's sea of consciousness was also resisting the power of the imprint. At this moment, the fire dragon's sea of consciousness had turned into a battlefield. Although the sharp light emitted by the battle sword was unable to break through the defense of the imprint, it caused devastating damage to the fire dragon's body. His entire head was cracking at this moment, and dragon blood was spurting out. That's it. Even if we can't break through the defense of the imprint, as long as we treat his sea of consciousness as a battlefield, his head and body will be shattered sooner or later. Once the body is shattered, only the divine soul will be left. Then there's nothing to worry about. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists tightly. Get in. Suddenly, two of the incarnations roared and dodged the power of the imprints. They thrust a crimson spear and a golden saber into the fire dragon's sea of consciousness. The tip of the spear and the tip of the saber pierced straight towards the fire dragon's divine soul. Immediately, with a boom, the tip of the spear and the tip of the blade collided with the power of the mark. A terrifying destructive force suddenly exploded in the fire dragon's sea of consciousness. Crack! The fire dragon let out a wail as his head instantly exploded into a mist of blood. His soul was instantly exposed. Good chance. Immediately, the eyes of the rest of the incarnations lit up. They immediately took out their supreme-level divine artifacts and attacked the fire dragon's divine soul. Boom! The power of the imprint was truly terrifying. It actually blocked all of the supreme-level divine artifacts. Even that won't do? Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel powerless. It seemed that he had to make the power of the imprint disappear before he could kill the fire dragon. But how could he make the power of the imprint disappear? Qin Feiyang suddenly looked at a piece of flesh floating in the void. On that piece of flesh, there was a fiery red imprint. That's right. That was the piece of flesh between the fire dragon's eyebrows. Even though the head had exploded, the imprint did not disappear and was emitting a bright divine light. I have to erase this imprint. Qin Feiyang ignored the injuries on his body and suddenly stood up. Flame divine power surged out and instantly submerged that piece of flesh. The terrifying flames burned his flesh and blood. However, even though it was burned like this, the flesh did not show any signs of being incinerated. All of this was because of that imprint. The imprint was protecting that piece of flesh. Moreover, under the power of the imprint, the exploded head began to rapidly fuse and repair. What exactly do I have to do to destroy this imprint? Qin Feiyang was burning with anxiety. If he allowed the fire dragon's head to heal, then everything he had done before would be in vain. Ha ha! The power of the imprint is invincible. The fire dragon's soul was arrogant again. With the power of the imprint protecting it, no matter how hard the incarnations tried, they could not break the defense. There must be a way, Qin Feiyang murmured. How could a mere imprint stump him? Young master. At this moment, Wang Ming rushed over like lightning. What are you doing here? Go. Qin Feiyang's expression changed, and he shouted. Of course I'm here to help you. Wang Ming smiled and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. He looked up at Small Beast and Ice Dragon and said, As long as I'm here, none of you can hurt young master. Boom. The next moment, a monstrous aura erupted. His cultivation base was instantly restored to the peak of the undead realm. The power of the rules also descended. What are you doing? Qin Feiyang's expression changed. Wang Ming turned a deaf ear to him and rushed forward to grab that piece of flesh. Divine power surged out, and he clenched his 5 fingers. Don't! Fire Dragon's soul instantly roared in horror. One had to know. Wang Ming was now an ultimate imperishable realm expert. That piece of flesh was instantly smashed, and the imprint was annihilated. After the imprint disappeared, the power of the imprint protecting Fire Dragon's soul also dissipated. Kill. Seeing this, all of the clones raised their supreme divine artifacts and charged toward the Fire Dragon's divine soul. Don't! Fire Dragon roared. However, at this moment, the golden small beast attacked. A golden light fell, and all the incarnations were annihilated on the spot. Clang! The supreme artifacts fell to the ground. What are you doing? Qin Feiyang glared at the golden small beast. We agreed that you would fight with Fire Dragon. Now your subordinate has come to help you. It's not fair. The golden small beast said indifferently. Boom. As the golden small beast finished speaking, the power of the rules came and Wang Ming was obliterated on the spot. Wang Ming. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth. At the same time, in the distance, Yang Li, the white-eyed wolf, the straw-sandal old man and the other 5 were also covered in blood and were in a sorry state. There were thousands of giant beasts around them, and they couldn't be killed. The moment the imprint shattered, those giant beasts suddenly stopped in the void and looked at the scene in front of them with confused expressions. What's going on? Frenzy was stunned. Could it be? The next moment, everyone looked in the direction of the temple. Yang Li, the white-eyed wolf, quick! Frenzy shouted. 1 man and 1 wolf, together with Frenzy, rushed toward the temple. The straw-sandal old man and the other 5 looked at each other and followed at lightning speed. As for those giant beasts, they looked at each other and finally at the corpses all over the ground. Their pupils suddenly shrank and they immediately fled in all directions. Qin Feiyang half knelt on the ground, his face full of pain. Why was he so stupid? How long had he followed him, and he was willing to give up his life for him? Was it worth it? There's nothing to be sad about. Since he removed the suppression on his cultivation, it means that he's prepared to die. The golden small beast said indifferently, What does a cold-blooded beast like you know? You say it's fair? Then tell me, is it fair that you sealed my battle soul? If you didn't seal his battle soul, why would he need to run and self-detonate? And the fire dragon borrowed the power of the imprint. Is that fair? Qin Feiyang looked up at the golden small beast and clenched his fists. His nails dug into his flesh and blood flowed out. So what if you think it's unfair? If Lord Frog says it's fair, then it's fair. If Lord Frog says it's unfair, then it's unfair. What? You're not convinced? The golden small beast looked down at Qin Feiyang arrogantly. Understood. You're stronger than me. Qin Feiyang nodded as a cold smile appeared on his face. It's good that you understand. Although your subordinate helped you, your subordinate was also killed by the power of the rule force. So we're even. The battle between you and the fire dragon is a draw. The golden small beast said. A draw? Qin Feiyang was furious. He had spent so much effort, suffered such serious injuries, and even sacrificed Wang Ming. But in the end, it was just a draw? He hated it. Since it's a draw, then the conditions I promised you before are naturally invalid. However, since you're so pitiful, Lord Frog will allow you to enter the temple. The golden small beast waved its hand, and the temple gate slowly opened. Qin Feiyang looked up at the temple at the top of the mountain and murmured, "Okay." Gradually, a trace of disdain crept up in his eyes as he looked up at the golden small beast and said, "I, Qin Feiyang, don't need your charity." Huh. The golden small beast was stunned. Even without the inheritance of the power of the rule force, I can still rely on my own ability to comprehend the power of the rule force. Don't be so kind. I don't need it. Qin Feiyang shook his head disdainfully. You have backbone. The golden small beast laughed and said, "The gate is open anyway. It's up to you whether you want to enter or not." After that, the golden small beast waved its claws and disappeared without a trace with the ice dragon and the fire dragon souls. Little Qinzi, the white-eyed wolf, Yang Li, and the madman ran to Qin Feiyang's side. The straw-shoe old man and the other 5 ran over and looked at the devastated land and Qin Feiyang's shocking injuries. They looked at each other in dismay. What on earth happened here? Why? Why did you let Wang Ming come here? Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the madman, Yang Li, and the white-eyed wolf. Looking at Qin Feiyang's twisted face, the madman's eyelids twitched and he asked, "What happened to Wang Ming?" "He's dead. He was killed by the power of the rule force." Qin Feiyang lowered his head and said, "What?" The 2 men and 1 wolf's eyes trembled. "Why did you let him come here? If he didn't come, wouldn't it be fine?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. The madman hurriedly said, "We sensed the auras of the small beast and the ice dragon, so we let him come over and take a look, but we didn't expect him to." The madman's face was also full of self-blame. He was the one who asked Wang Ming to come over, so the responsibility was all on him. "Actually, you don't have to do this. Wang Ming isn't dead." Yang Li came back to his senses and smiled at the 2. "Not dead?" Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. "That's right. Don't you know? Before we entered the Nether King's hell, we left our souls outside." Yang Li said, "That's right." The madman patted his head, completely forgetting about this matter. "He's not dead," Qin Feiyang muttered. He immediately beamed with joy. Previously, he had truly forgotten about this matter. Yang Li smiled and said, "So, we didn't lose anything this time?" "Good, good, good." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "When we go back, I'll definitely compensate him well." With that, he looked at Yang Li and smiled. "And you, thank you for fighting side by side with us." "It's my duty." Yang Li scratched his head, feeling a little uncomfortable for a moment. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked around. He whispered, "All right, we've finally passed this tribulation. I should rest for a while." With that, Qin Feiyang's body went limp and he fell to the ground. Yang Li's expression changed, and he hurriedly went forward to support Qin Feiyang. He shouted, "Young master, don't die." The madman and the white-eyed wolf's expressions also changed. After checking, they found that Qin Feiyang was only seriously injured and unconscious. Only then did they heave a sigh of relief. Chapter 2742. The madman took out a divine life pill and placed it in Qin Feiyang's mouth before sweeping his gaze across the ground. Over 1,000 supreme-grade divine artifacts were scattered on the ground. Some were already cracked. Some were even broken. Not only is he heavily injured, but he also used so many supreme-grade divine artifacts. Just how strong is the fire dragon? The madman frowned. At the same time, the grass-sandal old man and the other 5 scanned the floor with their eyes, and their hearts were filled with astonishment. Qin Feiyang actually had so many supreme-grade divine artifacts? Although they were all hidden experts, this was the first time they had seen over 1,000 supreme-grade divine artifacts. Greed couldn't help but rise in their hearts. Even if they didn't obtain any heaven-defying treasures or the inheritance of laws, it was worth it to obtain so many divine artifacts. The madman glanced at the 6 people and said to Yang Li and the white-eyed wolf, "Be careful of these 6 people." At the same time, he waved his hand and put all the divine artifacts into his yin and yang ring. The 6 people looked at the madman. The madman raised his eyebrows and said, "These are our divine artifacts. Can't I put them away?" Of course, of course." We didn't say anything. The green-robed old woman smiled. The white-eyed wolf and Yang Li looked at the 6 people with unfriendly gazes. The 6 of them had followed them all the way here. What were their intentions? They couldn't be careless. It wasn't easy to get here, so they didn't want to fail miserably. Don't misunderstand. We don't have any ill intentions. We are purely here for the inheritance of laws. The madman smiled. The white-eyed wolf and the madman were silent. Humph. The muscular man suddenly snorted coldly. He looked at the madman and the white-eyed wolf and said expressionlessly, "Compared to the inheritance of laws, I'm more interested in you guys." The madman's heart skipped a beat. "Big guy, what are you going to do?" The madman looked at the muscular man and couldn't help but frown. Who in the divine land doesn't know about the treasures Qin Fei Yang has? Heaven-defying divine art, heaven-defying divine weapon, and an independent small world. Especially the slaughter domain and the small world. They are probably more precious than the so-called inheritance. Could it be? At this point, the burly man looked at the straw-sandal old man and asked, "Aren't you tempted by these divine items at all?" The straw-sandal old man fell silent. The little demon child, the green-robed old woman, the golden-robed man, and the enchanting woman all lowered their heads, their eyes flickering. In the past, because of the strength of the madman and Qin Fei Yang, no one dared to make a move. But now, Qin Fei Yang is seriously injured and unconscious. Madman also lost his ability to fight. Wang Ming was also killed by the power of the rules. Now, only Wolf King and Yang Li are left. Do you want to miss such a good opportunity? The burly man looked at the 5 of them and shouted. The 5 people shuddered, looking up at Qin Fei Yang's group. In any case, I don't want to miss it. The burly man smiled coldly and looked at the white-eyed wolf and the madman. Hand over Qin Fei Yang, and I'll let you go. The white-eyed wolf, the madman, and Yang Li looked at each other. As expected, they couldn't help but attack. Think about your current situation. The burly man said, "That's right. Qin Fei Yang is unconscious and the madman has no ability to fight. As for the white-eyed wolf and Yang Li, you were also injured in the previous battle. If you resist now, it won't do you any good." The green-robed old woman took a step forward and landed beside the burly man. Obviously, she had decided to make a move against Qin Fei Yang and the others. Although it's a bit of a precarious situation, it can't be helped. Who asked you to be so strong? If we don't take action now, we won't have a chance at all. The little demon child also took a step forward. Seeing this, the straw-sandals old man, the golden-robed man, and the enchanting woman also silently walked to the side of the 2. The madman looked at the 6 of them and said, "So, you are determined to take advantage of the situation? Be sensible. This way, you still have a way to live." The burly man said coldly. The madman said, "If we hand over Qin Fei Yang to you, will you really let us go?" "Yes, I swear." The burly man nodded. The reason why he didn't snatch it was because he was afraid of the white-eyed wolf's strength. Although the white-eyed wolf was injured in the previous battle, it wouldn't do them any good if they forced it to fight with their lives, because the ability to deprive one's cultivation was too terrifying. Even if they could kill the white-eyed wolf in the end, they would probably have to pay a heavy price. "Let us go," the madman murmured and sneered. "Then aren't you afraid that we will take revenge on you later?" "Revenge? As long as we get Qin Fei Yang's heaven-defying artifact and heaven-defying art, do we still need to be afraid of your revenge?" The green-robed old woman laughed sinisterly. "That's true. Any one of Qin Fei Yang's heaven-defying artifacts is enough to make people tremble in fear." The madman nodded. The burly man shouted, "So stop talking nonsense and give Qin Fei Yang to us." Sigh. At this moment, the white-eyed wolf sighed. The 6 of them looked at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf said, "Do you know how I and little Qinzi have come all the way here? I'm not interested in listening to your nonsense. Don't test our patience." The burly man said. The white-eyed wolf turned a deaf ear and said, "I and little Qinzi have known each other since we were young. I remember that at that time, he had just stepped onto the path of cultivation, and I was about the same." I said, "I don't want to hear your story." The burly man interrupted the white-eyed wolf. killing intent flashing in his eyes. The white-eyed wolf still turned a deaf ear and continued to speak. We've encountered countless hardships and dangers along the way, but we've never given up on each other even when we've been through life and death situations. Although I'm usually harsh with my words, no one can replace little Chin-zi in my heart. With such a deep relationship, do you think I'll abandon him and live alone? The white-eyed wolf looked at the six of them and said. The green-robed old woman laughed sinisterly and said, So you're saying that you want to go against us? That's not right. The white-eyed wolf shook his head and waved his claws. I'm not going against you. You're the ones courting death. As he said the last word, the golden beast shadow of the war soul instantly roared out. Kill it. The burly man shouted. They tried their best to avoid fighting the white-eyed wolf, but in the end, they could not avoid it. Clang. The six of them attacked together. The six supreme divine artifacts were instantly awakened, exuding an aura of destruction. The white-eyed wolf shouted, Youngly, take the madman and little Chin-zi and retreat, lest they accidentally hurt you. Youngly nodded, swept up Qin Fei-yong and the madman, and turned to leave. But suddenly, Youngly stopped and turned to look at the white-eyed wolf. Brother Wolf, I know you're very angry now, but don't forget young master's intentions. After saying that, he flashed away like lightning. Little Chin-zi's intentions, the white-eyed wolf murmured. Youngly was obviously hinting that he could not deprive the six of their cultivation, because Qin Fei-yong intended to take these six people under his command. If he deprived them of their cultivation, they would lose their value. But what was the point of keeping people like these? Forget it. Let's keep them for now, and wait for little Chin-zi to deal with them. The white-eyed wolf sighed, and the golden beast shadow dissipated. The six people looked at the white-eyed wolf in astonishment. Why did he suddenly withdraw his war soul? I don't need to activate my war soul to deal with you. The white-eyed wolf's face was full of disdain. Bastard, I'll kill you. The six people were furious. How dare he look down on them like this? The six supreme divine artifacts, with monstrous sharpness, rushed toward the white-eyed wolf. With trash like you? The white-eyed wolf sneered, and his body suddenly expanded in the wind, and in an instant, he became a giant wolf that was thousands of feet tall, like a mountain, with monstrous ferocity. My war soul is not the only thing I can do. The white-eyed wolf opened his mouth, and his voice was like a bell, shaking the sky. Then, he stretched out his giant claws and grabbed the six supreme divine artifacts with his bare hands. What? The six people's expressions changed. After all, these six supreme divine artifacts were now in a fully awakened state, and he dared to grab them with his bare hands. That was too shocking. The most important thing was, after grabbing the six supreme divine artifacts, the white-eyed wolf's giant claws were not injured, and only some hair was cut off. You're surprised? What will really surprise you and make you feel despair is yet to come. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed fiercely, and he clenched his giant claws. Clang! Immediately, accompanied by six loud sounds, the six supreme divine artifacts were crushed by the white-eyed wolf. The six people were dumbfounded. He crushed the supreme divine artifacts with his bare hands. How strong was his physical body, and how terrifying was his strength to be able to do that? It was not until now that they suddenly realized it. It turned out that the strength that the white-eyed wolf showed during the fierce battle with the beasts was just the tip of the iceberg. What kind of monster was he? He was only at the Nine Heavens realm, but he actually had such terrifying strength. It was no exaggeration to say that. The white-eyed wolf's physical body was even more terrifying than the blood demon races. When the white-eyed wolf broke through to the peak realm, his physical body would not even be comparable to the transformed blood demon races. I was indeed injured during the battle with those beasts, and I also used up a lot of my divine power, but even so, it's more than enough to deal with you. A group of small fries want to make a big wave. How ridiculous! The white-eyed wolf was extremely domineering, and he stomped his foot down. The six burly men hurriedly tried to resist. However, even with the combined strength of the six of them, they were still unable to resist the white-eyed wolf's foot. Ah, Accompanied by a series of miserable howls, the 6 people were directly stomped into the ground, and their bodies were completely deformed, and blood was flowing out of their bodies. Why don't you look at where you are? What's the difference between you imperishable realm experts and us 9 heavens realm experts? The white-eyed wolf's face was full of disdain, and several rays of golden light shot out and entered the lower abdomens of the 6 people. The 6 people screamed again, and their sea of chi was destroyed on the spot. Strong. When Yang Li saw this scene, he felt heartfelt admiration. To be honest, when he saw the white-eyed wolf before, he didn't take it to heart. Not only him, but Wang Ming also thought that this wolf was only close to Qin Feiyang. When they saw the white-eyed wolf's terrifying strength, they realized how wrong they were. This white-eyed wolf was also an existence that was worthy of respect. Chapter 27:43. The burly man and the others were terrified to the extreme. They had already seen the white-eyed wolf's methods. Now that they had fallen into the hands of the white-eyed wolf, they would definitely not have a good ending. In their hearts, they were filled with regret. Why did they provoke this group of terrifying people? This thing called greed was really harmful. The white-eyed wolf's body quickly shrank and returned to its original size. With a wave of its claws, it snatched the 6 people's chinkuan bags. What are you doing? The 6 people looked at it in shock and anger. Don't you like to loot a burning house? Now I'll let you have a taste of it. How is it? Does it feel good? The white-eyed wolf looked at the 6 people mockingly. The 6 people felt bitter. Tell the truth. When it comes to looting a burning house, you're not even worthy of carrying my shoes. The things I once robbed, the white-eyed wolf said proudly, but suddenly waved its claws and said, forget it. A real man doesn't talk about his past glory. Moreover, I've already turned over a new leaf. Turned over a new leaf? When the 6 people heard this, they couldn't help but secretly despise it. Whoosh! Yang Li brought the frenzied man and the unconscious Qin Feiyang back to the white-eyed wolf's side. He looked at the burly man and the white-eyed wolf and then asked, how do we deal with them now? The 6 people's bodies and hearts tightened. Now that their chi seas were destroyed, they were equivalent to lambs waiting to be slaughtered. The frenzied man pondered for a while and said, let's wait for Qin Feiyang to wake up and deal with him personally. Okay. Yang Li nodded. The frenzied man looked up at the temple at the top of the mountain and said, let's go up and take a look. Yang Li waved his hand and led the group to the top of the mountain. At this moment, the top of the mountain was dead silent. The temple sat alone on the top of the mountain, and the door was wide open. Should we go in? Yang Li asked. Don't act rashly. Wait for Qin Feiyang to wake up and ask him clearly, the frenzied man said in a deep voice. Although they sensed the aura of the ice dragon and the small beast, they were too far away and didn't know what happened. At the same time, at a certain place, Lord Ice Dragon, Beast God Hand, I'm sorry, I'm useless. The fire dragon's soul was trembling in front of the small beast and the ice dragon. You are indeed incompetent. Even with the power of the imprint, he was still forced into such a state by Qin Feiyang. The little golden beast spoke with a tone that carried a strand of coldness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The fire dragon was terrified. The small beast was silent for a while. Suddenly, it waved its paw and a golden light merged with the fire dragon's divine soul. The fire dragon's body was immediately reconstructed. The fire dragon was stunned and hurriedly thanked. Thank you, Lord Beast God. The golden small beast said, I'll give you another mission. If you mess it up again, don't blame me for being merciless. Please give me your orders. Fire Dragon said respectfully, go to the 4th floor immediately. When Qin Feiyang enters the 4th floor in the future, kill him for me. The small beast said, go to the 4th floor? The Fire Dragon was stunned for a moment and was overjoyed. The Ice Dragon frowned. Do you know what Boss Frog means? I know. Lord Beast God wants me to go to the 4th floor in advance to prepare. The Fire Dragon nodded. You're not that stupid. Even if Qin Feiyang wants to go to the 4th floor, who knows how many years later it will be? This period is enough for you to prepare. The Ice Dragon said, yes. The fire dragon nodded respectfully and hesitated. But will Qin Feiyang really go to the fourth floor in the future? Lord Frog believes that he will, the small beast whispered. The fire dragon's heart trembled. He didn't expect that Qin Feiyang would make Lord Beast God look at him in a different light. The small beast suddenly looked at the ice dragon and said, "Let's not intervene in what happens next." The ice dragon was slightly stunned and asked, "Even if it threatens my family, I can't intervene? Didn't you say that we can't break the balance? What else do you want?" The small beast frowned. "All right." The ice dragon nodded helplessly. Time flew by. The next day, Qin Feiyang finally woke up. The blood puppet on his body had been repaired. "You're awake." Yang Li hurriedly went forward and helped Qin Feiyang up. "How long have I been unconscious?" Qin Feiyang looked around and asked. "Not long, just a day." Yang Li smiled. The frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and the burly man were also recuperating at the side. When they heard Qin Feiyang's voice, they all opened their eyes. "You're quite tough. You didn't die even after that." The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Scram. Qin Feiyang glared at him and then looked at the frenzy. "How are you?" "The aftereffects are already gone. Even if thousands of giant beasts come, I can kill them all," the old man said proudly. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and looked at the burly man and the others. He asked in surprise, "Their cultivation?" Yang Li snorted coldly. "They brought this upon themselves." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yang Li immediately recounted what had happened yesterday in detail. "So that's how it is." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. The six of them were extremely nervous. Whether they could survive or not depended on what Qin Feiyang said now. But Qin Feiyang didn't pay attention to them. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and frowned. "How many more tricks are you hiding?" "Many more." Looking at the ingrate's complacent attitude, Qin Feiyang's forehead was immediately filled with a row of black lines. "That, young master, you've just recovered from your injuries. Don't be angry." Yang Li quickly comforted him. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "Qin Feiyang, what happened between you and the fire dragon? Why are you in such a sorry state? And why is the gate of the temple open?" The frenzy frowned. Qin Feiyang looked at the gate of the temple with a murderous look in his eyes. "Who won the battle between you and the ice dragon?" The white-eyed wolf also looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and sighed. "I lost." "What?" The white-eyed wolf, Yang Li, the frenzy, and the burly man were dumbfounded when they heard this. Qin Feiyang's strength was obvious to all, but he lost to the fire dragon? The power of the fire dragon's mark is even more terrifying than that of the 10 strongest guardians like Longma. Even if I activated 3,000 clones and used all my supreme-level divine arts, I still couldn't break its defense. If Wang Ming hadn't come and removed the suppression of his cultivation and forcefully destroyed the mark, I'm afraid I would be dead by now. Qin Feiyang said. "I didn't expect this guy to become so strong after so many years." The white-eyed wolf said in a deep voice. "As for the gate of the temple, it was opened by the small beast. According to the fire dragon and the small beast, there is the inheritance of the power of laws and the time array inside. If you want to go in, then go in." "I don't want to." Qin Feiyang shook his head. The inheritance of the power of laws. The frenzy, the white-eyed wolf, and Yang Li immediately looked at the temple, their eyes shining. "Wait, why don't you want to go in?" The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "I don't need their charity." Qin Feiyang clenched his hands and said in a deep voice, "Okay." The white-eyed wolf nodded. Indeed, if they had opened the gate of the temple with their own ability, it would be fine. But this gate was opened by the small beast, so it was a kind of charity. Qin Feiyang looked at the white-eyed wolf, the frenzy, and Yang Li and said with a smile, "But for you, this is an opportunity. Who cares?" The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. "Don't be so loyal. I have a feeling that the power of laws will be our strongest means in the future." Qin Feiyang said. "Can integrity be eaten?" "I don't care anyway." The frenzy chuckled. "I don't care either." Yang Li looked at the gate of the temple and smiled foolishly. But suddenly, He seemed to have thought of something and his expression dimmed. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at him in confusion. Yang Li sighed. Wang Ming also had this opportunity, but unfortunately, Qin Feiyang fell silent. The frenzy patted Yang Li's shoulder and comforted him. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. I hope so. Yang Li sighed. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, turned his head, and slowly walked to the edge of the cliff. He glanced at the forest of gods and demons with sadness in his eyes. What's wrong with you? The white-eyed wolf, the frenzy, and Yang Li walked over suspiciously and asked. The burly man and the others stared at the gate of the temple with great desire. The regret in their hearts was even stronger. If it wasn't for yesterday's incident, if they took the initiative to befriend Qin Feiyang, they would definitely be able to enter the temple and obtain the inheritance of the power of laws. But now, they didn't get Qin Feiyang's divine artifact and divine art, and they also lost the opportunity to enter the temple. The gains didn't make up for the losses. At the edge of the cliff, Qin Feiyang sighed and whispered, White-eyed wolf, do you know? Big cousin and the inner demons died here. What? The white-eyed wolf's eyes trembled as he looked at the ground and said in surprise, You mean that's right? The Nether King's Hell is the third level of the miracle. Qin Feiyang nodded. The third level of the miracle, the white-eyed wolf murmured. Qin Feiyang said, Actually, we have been to this temple before. Been here? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang asked, Do you still remember what happened before entering the ancient world? I remember. At that time, in order to confirm the death of the inner demons and big cousin, we found the fire python and entered the third level, but in the end, we were stopped in a hall. Wait. Speaking of this, the white-eyed wolf's body trembled as he turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said, That hall was this temple? And Qin Feiyang nodded. This? The white-eyed wolf was stunned and said, Then didn't we go around in a big circle in the ancient world? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Your sister, how can you play like this? The white-eyed wolf was quite angry. The madman said, According to what you said, this Nether King's Hell shouldn't be the world of the dragon god. When I found out that the Nether King's Hell was the third level of the miracle, I had already thought of this point. The real owner of the miracle is the creation god, and the ice dragon only has the authority to freely enter and exit the miracle. Qin Feiyang said. This also explains why there are so many heaven-defying treasures in the Nether King's Hell, but the ice dragon didn't directly give them to the dragons. This is because he doesn't dare to do so, the madman said. That's right. After all, they are the treasures of the creation god. No matter how bold the ice dragon is, he wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Qin Feiyang smiled. Chapter 2744. Since this isn't his world, why is he still pretending in front of us? The white-eyed wolf snorted. His eyes were filled with disgust. It's not against the law to be pretentious, Yang Li said. Qin Feiyang glanced at the white-eyed wolf and Yang Li. He shook his head and said, You don't understand the main point of this problem. What main point? The white-eyed wolf and Yang Li were taken aback. They looked at him suspiciously. Do you remember my promise to the Ghost King? We thought the Nether King's Hell was the Ice Dragon's world. Although the Ice Dragon is powerful, it's not undefeatable. However, we've discovered that the master of the Nether King's Hell is the creator. What does this mean? This means that if we want the blood demons to regain their freedom, we have to look for the creator. We have to either convince him or defeat him. Convince him? Defeat him? Do you think we have the ability to do so? Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed at himself. The white-eyed wolf, the mad scientist, and Yang Li fell silent when they heard this. This was indeed a very troublesome problem. There's one more thing, Qin Feiyang said again. He clenched his fists tightly again. His eyes were filled with anger. What is it? The mad scientist, the white-eyed wolf, and Yang Li were puzzled. The 9-leaf fire lotus and the crimson sword soul have been sealed by the small beast. Qin Feiyang said. How can this be? The two men and the wolf shuddered. These two war souls were Qin Feiyang's most powerful trump cards. They could even put up a fight against a sovereign weapon. Now that these two war souls had been sealed, would it not mean that when they faced the dragons in the future, after all, the dragon clan had a sovereign's divine weapon? Without these two war souls, no matter how many heaven-defying divine weapons they had, they would not dare to set foot on Divine Dragon Island. If they could not even set foot on Divine Dragon Island, how could they possibly destroy the dragons? This was truly a nightmare. The white-eyed wolf frowned. Why did it seal your war soul? It's all because of that damned ice dragon. He said that my fighting soul had broken the balance of this world. So small beast sealed it. Qin Feiyang said angrily. That bastard. You still have the cheek to talk about balance? The dragon's sovereign divine weapons are even stronger than your two battle souls. Isn't that breaking the balance? The fire dragon himself is trash, but because he borrowed the power of the mark, he can't even defeat you. Is this not considered breaking the balance? This is too much. The white-eyed wolf was also furious. What's the point of shouting? The law of the jungle has always been the law of survival. The rule is that the one with the harder fist has the final say. Madman shook his head. That's true, but they've gone too far. Yangli couldn't help but frown. What can you do if they bully you? In front of them, we still have to obediently lower our heads. Madman said. Sigh. Yangli sighed when he heard this. Under the heavens, everyone is just an ant. And there's not only 3 floors, there's a 4th floor. Qin Feiyang looked up at the sky. His eyes were extremely deep. What the hell? There's a 4th floor. The white-eyed wolf was shocked. Yes. Small Beast said it himself. He said that in the 4th floor, there are as many undead stage powerhouses as dogs. Qin Feiyang nodded. It can't be. Madman, the white-eyed wolf, and Yangli looked at each other. Undead stage powerhouses as many as dogs? Isn't this a bit exaggerated? I don't know if it's true or not. I don't want to think so much now. All of you go to the temple. Let me be alone. Qin Feiyang said. I'm not going, I don't care. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Yangli looked at Madman and asked, Then what about us? Madman grinned. Of course we're going. Only an idiot wouldn't take advantage of it. With that, he ran towards the temple. Wait, aren't you afraid that it's a trap? Yangli hurriedly shouted. Trap? Madman was stunned and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. It won't. With Small Beast's strength, there's no need to use such means. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Madman chuckled and immediately ran into the temple. Young master, should I go in too? Yangli looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. You don't have to listen to everything I say and follow your heart. Qin Feiyang smiled. Thank you, young master. Yangli bowed and quickly ran into the temple. The white-eyed wolf said angrily, These two guys are really embarrassing us. They're different from us. Although they're with us, they have their own choice. Don't add our personal resentment to them. This is not fair to them. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The white-eyed wolf said, Then tell me, what do you plan to do next? Next. Qin Feiyang murmured and said with a faint smile, I'm a little tired, I want to rest. How can there be time for you to rest now? Destroying the dragons, the promise to king you. These are all difficult tasks. The white-eyed wolf said, Let's take it one step at a time. After all, we've encountered so many difficulties in the past, and we've come all the way. Qin Feiyang smiled. That's true. The white-eyed wolf nodded and glanced at the divine demon forest. But the inner demons and big cousin. Since this was the 3rd floor of the divine ruins, Qin Feiyang did not sense the inner demons here. This was enough to prove that the inner demons were really dead. They won't die in vain, Qin Feiyang murmured. The blood feud was as deep as the sea. He would not let it go. Qin Feiyang, the burly man and the other 5 hesitated for a long time. In the end, they gathered their courage and walked toward Qin Feiyang. No need to explain. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Brother Qin, the 6 people's expressions changed drastically. They thought that Qin Feiyang was going to do something to them. The white-eyed wolf suddenly turned around and stared at the 6 people. I told you to shut up. Did you not understand? The 6 people shrank their necks and immediately shut their mouths. They looked at the white-eyed wolf in horror. Before you attacked, you should have thought about the consequences in advance. The white-eyed wolf snorted. If we had known that you were hiding your strength, we wouldn't have dared to do this. The 6 people were bitter. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and said, judging from your tone, it seems that it's my fault? No, no, no. The 6 people hurriedly waved their hands. Qin Feiyang said, White-eyed wolf, that's enough. Give the interspatial rings back to them. Give them back? The white-eyed wolf was taken aback. The 6 people also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Did this mean that he would not kill them? Just give them back. Qin Feiyang stared at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. He took out 6 interspatial rings and threw them to the 6 people. You're lucky. Thank you. The 6 people shed tears of gratitude. They hurriedly took out a spirit sea elixir to repair their sea of qi. You can go to the divine hall by yourselves. Whether you can comprehend the power of law or not depends on your luck. Qin Feiyang said, What? He's letting us into the divine hall? The 6 people looked stunned. They wondered if they were hallucinating. Who in the divine land did not know Qin Feiyang's fierce reputation? He was already merciful enough to let them go. How could he let them into the divine hall? How could he be so kind? The white-eyed wolf said, Look at you. It seems that you don't want to go. We'll go if we want to. The 6 people nodded. Then get out of here. The white-eyed wolf shouted. The 6 people immediately shuddered and ran to the divine hall. The white-eyed wolf snorted through his nose. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Little Qin Zi, I'm very dissatisfied with the way you handled this matter. Karma is a circle. Good and evil will be rewarded. Some people don't have to be controlled, Qin Feiyang said. But they know all our secrets. Ru Lunatic, from the 9th Heaven Palace, and your identity as Li Buer. Even Wang Ming, Yang Li. It's a big deal. If they leak it out, we won't even know how we died, the white-eyed wolf said. If they are smart, they will know what they can and can't say. On the contrary, if they leak it out, it means that they are not qualified to stand with us. This is also a test for them, Qin Feiyang said. I can't win against you. Okay, do as you like. The white-eyed wolf waved his paws. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and suddenly asked, White-eyed wolf, do you miss home? Miss home? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He nodded and said with a smile, To be honest, I do miss everyone. Then why don't we go back and take a look? Qin Feiyang said, Go back? The white-eyed wolf was stunned and asked suspiciously, How do we go back? Do you still remember how we returned from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor? Qin Feiyang smiled. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a while and his eyes lit up. The gate of time and space. Yes. Since we could use the gate of time and space to return to the 2nd floor, we can definitely do it now. Besides, this hell can also use the power of law. As the Beast Emperor said, Long Zun used the gate of time and space to bring them out of the forest of gods and demons. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the gate of time and space appeared. Clang! With the influx of divine power, the gate of time and space quickly opened with a loud sound. It really works? The white-eyed wolf was stunned and immediately ran in. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and stepped into the gate of time and space. Immediately, the gate of time and space dissipated in the void. Where are they? Madman and Yang Li heard the commotion and ran out of the temple. Looking at the empty mountain peak, they were shocked. It seems to be the sound of a divine artifact awakening. Could something have happened to them? Yang Li was surprised. When Madman heard this, he also found it hard to judge. Yang Li said, Quickly go and look for them. Don't run around. Madman hurriedly grabbed Yang Li and shook his head. With Qin Feiyang's temperament and strength, even if there is a sudden change, he can still call us for help in time. Then what do you mean? Yang Li frowned. Madman guessed. They might have left on their own. Left on their own? Yang Li was stunned and said, But it's impossible for them to disappear in the blink of an eye. I also don't know what happened. But now, you must not run around. You know how dangerous the forest of gods and demons is. If you fall into an illusion, even a heavenly god won't be able to save you. Taking a step back, Even if something happened to Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf, I believe that they have the ability to deal with it. Let's continue to inherit the power of law, Madman said. All right. Yang Li nodded. He raised his head and looked around worriedly. Chapter 2745. The second floor of the Divine Ruins. In the middle of a towering mountain, there was a square. In the middle of the square, there was a blood-red altar. Beside the altar, a huge fire python lay prone on the ground with its eyes closed, letting out a deafening snoring sound. That's right. It was the guardian of the first and second floor of the Divine Ruins, the fire python that had helped Qin Feiyong countless times. Shua. Suddenly, two figures appeared above the square. It was Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf scanned its surroundings, and when it saw the fire python below, a trace of joy immediately crawled up its eyes. At the same time, the fire python suddenly opened its eyes, two killing intent bursting out of them. It raised its head to look at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf and shouted, "You actually dare to trespass here." But before it finished speaking, the fire python's eyes widened as it stared at the man and the wolf in surprise. What was going on? Didn't they go to the ancient realm? Why did they appear at the Divine Ruins? He must be seeing things. Qin Feiyong landed in front of the fire python and smiled. "Brother Hua, long time no see." This voice, the fire python's expression froze, and then it said in surprise, "It's really you?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded. The white-eyed wolf said, "I thought that after not seeing you for so many years, you had already forgotten us. How is that possible?" The fire python stood up and looked at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf, its eyes full of smiles. "How is it? This surprise is surprising enough." The white-eyed wolf chuckled. "Unexpected, too unexpected. I'm not mentally prepared at all." The fire python nodded and asked, "Have you been well all these years?" "Pretty good." Qin Feiyong smiled and asked, "What about you?" The fire python laughed. "What changes can I have? I'm still the same, guarding the Divine Ruins all day." Qin Feiyong sized up the fire python and said with a smile, "Your cultivation has become much stronger." He remembered that when he first saw the fire python in the Divine Ruins, it had just become a war god. At that time, a beginner battle immortal was quite impressive in his eyes, because at that time, he was only a battle arch. Between the battle god and the battle arch, the former was the sky. Now, the fire python had already become a perfect war god. Although it was still a far cry from Qin Feiyong and the others, for the fire python, this kind of speed was already quite fast. This was because there were no time arrays or large amounts of soul stones here. Qin Feiyong had been through a lot, so he knew how difficult it was to become a perfect war god without a time array or a soul stone. Hearing Qin Feiyong's words, the fire python nodded and said with a smile, "My cultivation is indeed not bad." But before it finished speaking, the fire python opened its eyes wide and stared at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. It realized that it couldn't see through the cultivation of the man and the wolf. It was like a vast ocean, unfathomable. "Your cultivation?" The fire python was surprised. "Us? Hee. We have already stepped into the ninth heaven realm." The white-eyed wolf grinned. "What? Ninth heaven realm?" The fire python was stunned and hurriedly said, "Wait a minute, let me count first. War god, divine lord, ninth heaven realm. In other words, you have already surpassed me by 3 realms?" The fire python looked at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf in disbelief and said, "How are you so fast?" "Good talent," the white-eyed wolf said proudly. The fire python was speechless and said, "I can't deny that your talent is indeed very good, but it can't be so fast." Qin Feiyong glared at the ingrate, then looked at the fire python and laughed. "Brother Fire, don't listen to its nonsense. It's because we have the time array and a large number of soul stones that we were able to break through to the 9 heavens realms so quickly. Otherwise, we would probably be about the same as you right now." "Time array, soul stones?" The fire python murmured and nodded with a smile. "If that's the case, I believe it, but The fire python looked at the white-eyed wolf and said proudly, "So what if you're strong? It's too easy for me to beat you up." "What?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Don't forget, I am now the guardian of the miracle. The guardian has the power to control the rule power. No matter how strong you are, can you be stronger than the rule power of the miracle?" The fire python laughed. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and said, "Then aren't you cheating?" The fire python was speechless. "This is also one of my abilities. How is that cheating?" "Okay, okay." The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and said with a slightly gloomy expression, "Let me tell you something." Seeing this, the fire python asked suspiciously, "What is it?" "We met the fire dragon." The white-eyed wolf said, "What? Where is it? Is it dead?" The fire python's body trembled and asked. The white-eyed wolf said, "It's on the 3rd floor." "It's on the 3rd floor? Why don't I know about this?" The fire python was surprised. The white-eyed wolf said, "And all these years, it has been staying in the temple to cultivate in seclusion." "Temple?" The fire python was stunned. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "You don't know about the temple?" "I don't know." The fire python shook its head. "Why don't you know? Haven't you been to the 3rd floor?" The white-eyed wolf said, "I've been there a few times, but every time it's in that hall." The fire python said. The white-eyed wolf said, "That hall is the temple. That's what the creatures on the 3rd floor call it." "I see." The fire python nodded in realization, then raised its eyebrows and said, "You said that the fire dragon has been in the temple all this time?" "That's right." The white-eyed wolf nodded. "Then why didn't I see it when I went to the temple?" The fire python frowned. "Because there's a 2nd floor in the temple. All these years, the fire dragon has been staying in the 2nd floor to cultivate in seclusion." The white-eyed wolf said. "The 2nd floor?" The fire python muttered and said angrily, "I didn't know there was a 2nd floor. I've been to the temple several times and I've brushed past it." "Brother Fire, you don't have to be like this. After all, when we went in that year, we didn't find there was a 2nd floor." Qin Feiyang comforted. It wasn't difficult to tell that the fire python knew nothing about the 3rd floor. "What about the fire dragon now?" the fire python asked. Qin Feiyang sighed. "I'm sorry, I'm useless. I couldn't kill it." "It's already so strong? Even you can't kill it with your 9 heavens greater success cultivation?" The fire python was shocked. "It's a long story." Qin Feiyang sighed and explained the fire dragon's situation. "The power of the mark, Lord Beast God, Lord Ice Dragon." The fire python muttered and said angrily, "Why did Lord Beast God and Lord Ice Dragon cultivate it like this? Maybe it's because the fire dragon is also a divine dragon. After all, the ice dragon is also a divine dragon." Qin Feiyang said. The fire python said, "So now, the fire dragon is still at large?" "Yes. Although I haven't seen it again, I think it might have gone to the 4th floor." Qin Feiyang nodded. "The 4th floor," the fire python whispered. Qin Feiyang asked, "Brother Fire, do you know about the 4th floor? I heard Lord Beast God mention it once, but I'm not familiar with it. I only know that there is such a place." The fire python said. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "I still want to apologize to you. I didn't fulfill my promise to you. It's not your fault. With Lord Beast God and Lord Ice Dragon protecting it, no one can kill it." The fire python shook its head, its face full of despair. Was this blood debt going to be forgotten? "Don't be sad. The next time I see it, I'll definitely kill it." Qin Feiyang clenched his hands and said, "Thank you." The fire python smiled, almost without any hope. Okay. It's not easy for us to get together. Let's talk about something happy." White-eyed wolf said, "That's true. We can't ruin the atmosphere because of that bastard fire dragon." The fire python nodded. "Little Qinzi, since we have left the 3rd floor, can we enter the castle and the Black Tortoise realm?" White-eyed wolf asked. "That's right." Qin Feiyang patted his head and his mind immediately sank into his body to sense the castle. Immediately, he contacted the castle. Yes. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed and looked at the fire python with a smile. "Brother Fire, why don't you come with me to the castle to take a look?" "Okay." The fire python nodded. Swish. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and immediately appeared in the hall of the castle with White-Eyed Wolf and the fire python. When they appeared in the hall, Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf were stunned. The huge hall was filled with people at this moment. Fire Lotus, Hua Yi, Five-Clawed Golden Dragon, Feng Daji, Big Black Wolf, the three Black Leopard Brothers, Li Changhe, Wang Daguan, Yi Qing, Mermaid Princess, Qin Rushuang, Tan Taili, Zhao Tailai, Tang Hai, Dan Wangkai, Blood Kirin, Golden Leopard, Thunder Leopard, and so on. Everyone was in the hall at this moment. Only the demon ancestor, Dong Xingyang, Mu Tianyang, and Mu Qing were not there. What are you all doing? Qin Feiyong looked at the group of people in shock. It seemed that they had known that he and White-Eyed Wolf would enter the castle, so they were all here to welcome them. Welcome back. Mermaid Princess walked in front of Qin Feiyong and smiled. This is not right. Qin Feiyong looked at Mermaid Princess and then looked at everyone. He was completely caught off guard. You don't know, do you? Although you are in the hell of the underworld and can't sense the castle, we can hear all the movements outside. Fire Lotus smiled. You can hear everything outside? Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other. Yes. Everyone nodded with smiles on their faces. Does that mean that you know everything that happens in hell? Qin Feiyong asked in shock. Yes. No matter what happened to you in Fallen Valley or the Forest of Gods and Devils, we all know about it. Mermaid Princess nodded. White-Eyed Wolf asked, Then you are not worried, right? Nonsense. How can we not be worried? Blood Kirin stared at White-Eyed Wolf and smiled. But we also know that worrying is useless. So, we have been working hard to cultivate. Look at our cultivation. White-Eyed Wolf looked at Blood Kirin and shouted angrily, How did you break through to great completion, ninth heaven? Hee. Blood Kirin smiled proudly. Great completion, ninth heaven? Qin Feiyong froze and looked at Blood Kirin. Judging from Blood Kirin's aura, it really was great completion, ninth heaven. No way. It was stronger than him and White-Eyed Wolf? Chapter 2746. What was going on? One had to know. In the ancient city of Qingyu, they had a 500-year time formation. In the ancient castle, it was a 100-year time formation. No matter what, it was impossible to surpass them. Qin Feiyong and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at the others. Almost everyone present had broken through to the Peak 9 Heavens realm. Even Dan Wangkai was now at the Peak 9 Heavens realm. Looking at the Mermaid Princess standing in front of him, Qin Feiyong was even more speechless. She was also at the Peak 9 Heavens realm. And Li Changhe, Wang Daguan, the Big Black Wolf, and the Black Panther had all stepped into the Peak 9 Heavens realm. What the hell is going on? Qin Feiyong couldn't get used to this scene at all. They were all at the Peak 9 Heavens realm. Isn't this too outrageous? What is this? I'm already breaking through to the half-step imperishable realm. The Golden Panther was full of pride. Young master, look at my cultivation. Yicheng suddenly said. Qin Feiyong was stunned and looked at Yicheng with a hint of surprise on his face. You've already? Yes. I've already stepped into the half-step imperishable realm. Yicheng smiled. Great. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed and looked at Fire Lotus, Hua Yi, Feng Daji, and the five-clawed golden dragon. Don't look at us. Little Gold and I can't break through so quickly. Hua Yi waved his hand. He and the five-clawed golden dragon were still at the peak imperishable realm. But Fire Lotus and Feng Daji's aura were stronger than before. Feng Daji smiled and said, Miss Fire Lotus has gained the most in these years of cultivation. Fire Lotus looked at Feng Daji and smiled. You're not bad either. You've already broken through to the peak imperishable realm. How can I compare to you? Feng Daji shook his head. Qin Feiyong looked at Feng Daji. Sure enough, Feng Daji had already stepped into the peak imperishable realm. Congratulations. Qin Feiyong smiled. It's all thanks to young lord's nurturing. Feng Daji bowed. Qin Feiyong said, Don't bow so casually. We're on the same side, so let go. Feng Daji stared blankly for a moment before nodding with a smile. Young master, You have to take a good look at Miss Fire Lotus. Qin Fei Yang looked at Fire Lotus curiously and said, Girl, you've also broken through? Yes. Fire Lotus nodded. Not only did she break through to the undying realm, but Miss Fire Lotus has also comprehended the power of law. Feng Daji said enviously. What? Qin Fei Yang stared blankly for a moment before he hurriedly asked, What is the power of law? Fire Lotus smiled and raised her arm. Suddenly, a wisp of flame shot out from her palm. The flame was almost transparent and filled with the aura of time. This is? Qin Fei Yang was bewildered. Temporal laws. Fire Lotus smiled. Temporal laws. Qin Fei Yang's eyes trembled. The strongest power of law in the world was the temporal laws and the space-time laws. He didn't expect that Fire Lotus had comprehended the temporal laws. How terrifying was the temporal laws? For example, the ancient castle's temporal array was evolved from the temporal laws. Although Fire Lotus didn't have the ability to set up a temporal array yet, it was only a matter of time. Amazing! Qin Fei Yang walked up, raised his hand, and rubbed Fire Lotus's head lovingly. Boss, you dote on Miss Fire Lotus so much. Aren't you afraid that someone will be jealous? The big black wolf smiled slyly. Jealous? Qin Fei Yang stared blankly and couldn't help but look at the mermaid princess. What nonsense are you talking about? The mermaid princess looked at the big black wolf helplessly. Who didn't know the relationship between Qin Fei Yang and Fire Lotus? They were pure siblings. Hee. The big black wolf grinned. Qin Fei Yang turned and walked to the front of the mermaid princess, hugged the mermaid princess and whispered, I've made you worry all these years. Everything that happened in the Nether King's Hell could be heard from inside the ancient castle. It wasn't hard to imagine how much this little girl had been worried about him all these years. No, I'm quite relaxed, because I know you'll be fine. The mermaid princess shook her head. Cough, cough. The white-eyed wolf looked at the two, coughed and said, Although I don't want to disturb you, I still have to remind you that we still have guests. Guests? Qin Fei Yang was stunned and quickly let go of the mermaid princess. He looked at the fire python behind them and apologized. Brother Fire, I'm sorry. It's fine. The fire python smiled slightly. Greetings, Lord Guardian. Only then did everyone react and hurriedly bowed to the fire python. You don't have to be so polite. After all, in terms of cultivation, each of you can kill me in seconds. The fire python laughed. But in terms of means, you can kill all of us in seconds. Tang Hai said, No. You're Qin Fei Yang's friends, which means you're this emperor's friends. Why would this emperor make a move against his friends? The fire python laughed. He's the guardian of the miracle. Feng Daji, and the five-clawed golden dragon looked at the fire python curiously. This Qin Fei Yang was really capable. He actually called the guardian his brother. Although the fire python's cultivation was indeed inferior to them, if they really wanted to fight, they wouldn't be able to deal with it. For example, the rule force of the Nether King's Hell. Once the rule force was activated, even an undead stage expert would be turned into ashes. The Nether King's Hell was the third layer of the miracle. The rule force of the first and second layer must also have such power. Brother Fire, let's go to the Black Tortoise world to take a look. Qin Fei Yang laughed. All right. The fire python nodded. At this moment, Qin Fei Yang led the fire python outside, and everyone retreated to the side. After Qin Fei Yang and the fire python walked out of the castle, everyone followed. The moment they walked out of the castle, a trace of shock appeared in the fire python's eyes. Outside was an endless stretch of mountains and rivers, with countless medicinal herbs planted on the ground. Between the mountains, the void. It was filled with white fog. This wasn't an ordinary fog, but the energy of the soul vein and crystal vein. How could this still be the devil's land? This was a fairyland. Qin Fei Yang and the white-eyed wolf looked at the current devil's land and were extremely shocked. The energy here was countless times more terrifying than before. The herbs had also multiplied. In the past few years, the soul vein and crystal vein in the devil's land have almost evolved into a rank 8 divine realm soul vein and crystal vein. Fire Lotus laughed. So fast, Qin Fei Yang was shocked. Is it fast? Fire Lotus asked. Wait a minute. Your cultivation has broken through so fast, and the soul vein and crystal vein are evolving at such a fast speed. Could it be this has something to do with my breakthrough to the Nine Heavens realm and the changes in the time array? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Of course. Fire Lotus nodded. The white-eyed wolf asked anxiously, how many years is a day now? 1,000 years. Fire Lotus said, what is that? 1,000 years? Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were dumbfounded. The fire python was so shocked that it couldn't close its mouth. 1,000 years in a day? This must be a joke. Otherwise, how could our cultivation have improved so quickly? Fire Lotus laughed. Awesome. The time array in the ancient king city is only 500 years in a day. No wonder I didn't see Mu Tianyang and the others. They must be taking the opportunity to cultivate desperately. The white-eyed wolf whispered. They are indeed in seclusion. Moreover, they are already breaking through to the half-step Nine Heavens realm. Even Mu Qing has reached the perfected Nine Heavens realm. Fire Lotus nodded. The white-eyed wolf frowned and said, what about the resources for their cultivation? Of course we provide them. Fire Lotus said, you are willing to give them to them? The white-eyed wolf was speechless. This is not allowed by Qindage. Since they are allowed to come to the ancient castle to cultivate, it is naturally equivalent to tacitly agreeing to provide them with resources. Fire Lotus said, that doesn't matter. Anyway, it is good for us if they become stronger. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The demon ancestor and Dong Xingyang are fine, but we can't be careless with Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang, because this Mu Tianyang still hates you even now, White-Eyed Wolf said in a low voice. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and pondered for a while. He turned to Fire Lotus and the others and said, accompany Brother Fire for a walk. I have something to do and need to find the demon ancestor. Okay. Everyone nodded. Qin Feiyong turned and entered the ancient castle. He closed his eyes and soon found the cultivation room where the demon ancestor was. Because he was the owner of the ancient castle, he did not need anyone's permission to peek at everything. Swoosh. There was a flash. He appeared in a cultivation room on the second floor. At this moment, the demon ancestor was sitting cross-legged on a futon and cultivating with his eyes closed. The aura he emitted had indeed reached the perfected Nine Heavens realm. I haven't seen you for a few hundred years, and you are beginning to break through to the half-step eternal realm. Not bad, Qin Feiyong said. The demon ancestor opened his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyong in a daze. He said, has the Nether King's hell ended? No. Qin Feiyong shook his head. He had returned to the ancient castle and caused such a huge commotion. How could he not know? He was really focused. Then how did you come in? The demon ancestor was stunned. Qin Feiyong said, I took the opportunity to sneak out. Are you interested in going back to take a look? Go back? The demon ancestor was stunned. Great Qin. Qin Feiyong said, what? You are in Great Qin now? The demon ancestor got up and looked at him in surprise. I am now in the second level of the divine sight, and the so-called Nether King's Hell is the third level of the divine level. Qin Feiyong said, I see. The demon ancestor suddenly understood and shook his head. I didn't expect to return to the starting point after going around in a big circle. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and sighed. The demon ancestor pondered for a while and shook his head. I won't go out because I really don't have the face to face the people of Great Qin. As expected, Qin Feiyong shrugged and said, there is a problem that you have to help me think about. What problem? The demon ancestor was suspicious. Qin Feiyong said, where did Grey Castle go? Grey Castle? The demon ancestor was stunned. Back then, Grey Castle, Mu Tianyang's blood blade, and my ancestor's heaven-defying divine artifact entered divine land together. And you once said that your heaven-defying divine artifact, Snowflake, also abandoned you and ran away. Now, Bloodblade and Snowflake have returned to you and Mu Tianyang's side. What about Grey Castle? I also asked my ancestor. He said that Black Castle and Bloodblade did not follow his heaven-defying divine artifact to the dragon-slaying palace. So, I think that Grey Castle should have been with Bloodblade back then. Where is it now? Qin Feiyong frowned. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.